What's going on? I am Nando.
And I'm DJ.
And I'm Diggins.
And this is Mostly Nitpicking, a podcast where every week we pick apart a piece of pop culture by looking exclusively at the details. Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Woo, yeah.
This week, we're starting the the tunnel to Godzilla vs. Kong. I don't know, what is it? What's a wake? It's a wake, right?
A stomp? I don't know.
I'm thinking like Godzilla always leaves things in his wake.
Oh, what about
the Rampage?
Oh, yeah. We should
Rampage
watch
is
Rampage again. That's the best King Kong movie. It's up there.
It is.
I didn't hate it.
I never saw Rampage. I can't say.
You're fine.
Yeah, it's what you'd expect. The monkey does the finger, one finger, and then I don't even know how to describe this. You know how you make a hole with one hand and then a finger, and then you do it and it means sex, right? That the monkey does that at one point, so that's kind of fun.
Yeah, the monkey knows sex.
He knows the Rock wants to have sex with a lady, but the Rock can't because those are the rules of the Rock in movies.
Because his penis doesn't work. It's not a well-known fact about him. But yeah, the Rock's penis does not work, and he's very sensitive about that fact.
It's why he doesn't run for president. Honestly, he doesn't want that fact getting out.
Yeah, exactly.
It would get out.
They did.
Hey, question.
Oppo. Yep.
Does Rampage for some reason end on the top of a skyscraper? Because I feel like I remember that movie ending on top of like a skyscraper.
Well, kind of. The animals are all trying to climb the skyscraper, much like in the game Rampage, because there's some sort of beacon that's like sending them brainwaves to go there. But it ends mostly on the floor, on the park or empty lot next to the building. And the Rock has a helicopter, and he's shooting. The helicopter's grounded, and it's the wolf, or I don't fucking know.
Oh,
Not
dude,
the
I
wolf,
think I'm
guess.
confusing.
The wolf is good.
I think I'm confusing that movie with the skyscraper movie he was in.
Skyscraper?
Right?
Yeah, that one definitely ends on a skyscraper.
Did they come out in the same year or something?
Yeah, they did. Which one? Okay, so which one do you think is the one with the big giant gorilla? Is that Rampage or Skyscraper?
I'm gonna guess Rampage. What I'm confused is which one has a skyscraper.
They both
That's
have skyscrapers. It is a skyscraper palooza. If you wanted rock skyscraper movies in 2019, you couldn't believe your luck.
Yeah.
Especially if you wanted average movies where, it's not all that great. But speaking of movies, with skyscrapers,
that aren't that great.
Yeah, the skyscrapers don't last too long in this movie, but we never really get a chance to go in one.
True.
One of the characters goes in many of them.
That's true. I guess we don't climb a skyscraper to the height of a skyscraper at any one point. We're mostly scraping ground and ground scraping from the floor level. And
yeah, we don't really get very tall at all in this movie, really.
No, you'd almost think that would be a good plan to find out where Godzilla is. It seems like that's the one thing that they they agreed to with Godzilla before the movie, before this started. It was okay, we're gonna play tag, but you can't go in any of the buildings, otherwise you'd be able to see me at every second. Otherwise, how am I gonna sneak around like a little, like a child playing hide and seek? But we're talking about 1998's Godzilla.
Yeah, starring Matthew Broderick and others.
Yeah, Matthew Broderick, and it's really starring, the Godzilla. Yeah, how can a Godzilla movie not star Godzilla?
Yeah, wouldn't it be so crazy if you made a Godzilla movie where you basically spend as long as possible not showing any Godzilla at any point, even the ending?
It would.
Yeah, I couldn't even fathom.
That thing
you described.
This Godzilla that we're talking about is affectionately by the Godzilla fan base known as Zilla, I believe. Right?
Is it?
It's kind of like the Japanese name for this character, because this version of Godzilla shows up in at least one of the Millennium era movies in the Japanese Godzillas, and gets referred to as Zilla there. I think most of the fan base has also adopted that because this movie is not particularly liked by basically anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's super true.
And
congrats,
we'll talk about it. Yeah, it's a weird one. It's kind of fun. I had a good time, but it's a big old mess. So we're gonna talk about 1998's Godzilla. in our Rampage to Godzilla vs. Kong. Is that what all it's called? Is there like some subtitle clash of big
No, it's just
things?
Godzilla vs. Kong.
Okay.
That's it.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that. And then, and then next week we'll do a different one. And then one after that. And then eventually it'll be time for the Godzilla movie, Godzilla v. Kong. Do you guys want to talk about the Super Bowl a little bit real quick before we get to that?
I liked
Sure.
when they passed the ball and then that guy caught the ball and more things happened with it. That was very exciting to me.
So Diggins loves Gronk. He's like, I'm a huge Gronk stan.
I love Gronk.
Which,
That's why I love Gatorade now.
What did you think, DJ, of the Super Bowl?
I liked it. Look, I think that I understand that Tom Brady gets like a lot of hate, but at this point, I think he's at like Michael Jordan status and possibly even beyond. Like winning 7 Super Bowls is crazy. Like it's crazy. It's we're not going to see this ever again. Like
I think
we'll
we
go
should,
the rest of.
we should put a warning before this discussion that you're about to hear from 2 Tom Brady apologists.
I am Tom Brady neutral at best. I have no interest in him. I think he's so fine. He's good. He's very good, but I have no strong opinion on him whatsoever. He's another guy.
I mean, I think all athletes are bad except LeBron James. He's perfect and can do no wrong.
Yeah.
I think if we've learned anything over the past few years, it's that no bad can ever come from declaring that a celebrity can do no wrong.
Exactly. I will
Exactly.
never live to regret this.
We're going to see a Space Jam movie this year. Maybe that'll be it, with LeBron.
Maybe.
Maybe that'll be the wrong. But
But I don't think. Yeah, well.
until
Anyway,
then, yeah, so Tom Brady.
And like I guess like the biggest thing about the game is like it was like a pretty impressive defensive performance. I get that like Patrick Mahomes was like had a broken toe and the offensive line was in shambles, but like I don't know, like they played earlier this year and the Chiefs dismantled the Bucks, and I think they did a really good job of changing their game plan and sent like 4 rushers in like a different way, and Kansas City couldn't even establish a run game. So
Well,
I
because
don't know.
the quarterback's foot was broken and none of the people defending him were doing their job. Like I feel like that was different earlier this year because the circumstances in that team were different.
I will say this. I think if you want to look at the Super Bowl as, like, not just the game, but as, like, an event, it was, like, a pretty poor event. I didn't care that much for the weekend. I thought a lot of the commercials were meh. How's that? What were each of your guys' favorite commercials? That's always a good, like, talking point.
Great question.
I liked when
Yeah,
Gronk
let's-
sold me the magic potion known as Gatorade.
What was your favorite, DJ?
I really liked the Michael B. Jordan Alexa commercial. I thought that was really good.
I think it's so funny that that's a real movie because that looked like a fake
Yeah.
movie poster, and then it turns
Yeah.
out that's something that Amazon is actively promoting because it's on their like streaming platform.
Right.
So I thought that was quite funny. Yeah, that commercial was fine. I'm trying to think of one that was really, really, really bad. Yeah, I don't
The
know.
Fiverr one.
They were
with
mostly
Dolly
bad.
Parton?
How about
that one was bad.
or the M. Night Shyamalan movie? Like, what the fuck? Why do we have to endure him?
Yeah, that's so. I actually read up a little bit about that because I was curious. It's based on a really short graphic novel called Sandcastles that is French, and I read the whole thing because I was kind of bored. And yeah, it's kind of what you'd expect. I don't know. That movie's gonna be weird, but not. I don't think that interesting, and definitely not long enough of a story without some bullshit. Like without the kind of bullshit that in a story like the graphic novel. You leave some questions open, like where it's like, okay, well, we made a 45-minute long movie. What are we gonna do now? I guess we have to answer all the questions. So like, it's gonna get bad real fast, I think. But also the acting seems weird. Some of the line reads were pretty strange. You've grown 6 years. No, like I don't know.
Yeah, that movie's gonna suck.
Doesn't look that good. You know what my least favorite one was?
Yeah?
The one with the one where they made Sesame Street tell me that I was a hero for buying delivery food.
Yeah,
I want that one to burn. And Sesame Street and David Diggs, but something about Sesame Street being used for DoorDash. I don't know. But
yeah, it feels weirdly manipulative, and like that's not. Like, what? Why? Don't do this. Also, is David Diggs like a cast member on Sesame Street? Is that like a thing?
I don't know. I think they just know that he's the guy who's really hot right now, but also kind of gettable, for like commercials and stuff and cameos and things. Like he pops up quite a bit, and I think I think it's like, oh man, people know who that is, but also he's not charging millions and millions of dollars yet, but he will be in like 2 years. Yeah, that was it. I mean, like, the Will Ferrell one was fine. They were all fine.
Yeah, I didn't love that one. And I like Will Ferrell, but I just didn't care much for that one.
Yeah.
What is Will Ferrell up to these days?
That Holmes and Watson movie. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Apparently it stinks.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and then...
All right, calm down there, John Lovett.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm trying
John
to think
Lovitz,
what else...
to be clear.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, what else is he up to?
Who, Will Ferrell?
Yeah. I don't know. You'd be surprised. Or not like you'd be surprised. I am surprised that he is not in more things because he's very bankable. Maybe he's doing animated stuff. He's probably doing animated stuff.
Do you think, like, COVID, like, just, like, a lot of actors were like, no.
Maybe.
To be fair, if I reached a point of, like, success in anything where I made a lot of money that I could feasibly live off for the rest of my life, I would 100% stop working.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like, especially if you're like Will Ferrell, where you've had a couple of duds recently, I could see being like, hey, you know what? If I retire now, people will only remember my really good stuff. Otherwise, I'll kind of do an Eddie Murphy and then have lots of bad stuff where it's like not necessarily he completely undercut his career, but there's just like a lot of people that only know him as not great. Although Eddie Murphy's got the Coming to America movie coming out soon, so who knows?
Yeah.
Coming to America.
Yeah.
It's one thing we've learned this past decade. It's that sequels to long dead properties from the 80s can never be bad.
That's true.
Wait, is that true?
No, that's not true.
Blade Runner.
Being facetious.
What are
It's
the
not
other
true
ones?
it's not true that they're always bad, but it's
What
certainly
are
not
the
true
bad
that they
ones?
can
I'm trying
never
to
be
think.
bad.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he also did that Eurovision movie, which I wasn't a huge fan of. So yeah, not awesome. Did a Ron Burgundy podcast? Do you remember that?
No.
Oh,
Yeah, it was
I
a whole big
vaguely
thing.
remember that.
Yep.
Go figure, huh?
And he did a remake of that movie where the guy does there's a ski God, it's like a skiing disaster, but he doesn't save his kids, but then they survive and his life is ruined. It's like a French movie. They remade it in America. He did that. That's all I got. So yeah, Super Bowl, not great. Will Ferrell, fine, I guess. Coming to America 2. I think it looks kind of funny, but we'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah. Guys, speaking of
Things that were cool in 1998. I don't know.
things that came to America. Let's talk about 1998's Godzilla. So this movie is functionally, it's about Godzilla.
Is it though?
I don't know. It came out in 1998. Let's real quick go over our Godzilla affiliation. I have none. I've seen some of the movies in America, and I've seen all of the American movies, I guess, but not any of the old ones. I'm kind of aware of what the deal is. Yeah, that's me. What about you, DJ?
I'm in the exact same category as you.
Yeah.
I know about Godzilla just through pop culture and seeing the American movies, but I never saw the old classic. There's a Godzilla v Kong from the 60s, right? With a bunch of guys in suits.
Yeah. I mean, there's lots of... Hey, speaking of that, when did you see this movie first? Did you see it as when it came out?
I did, actually. My dad took me.
So is this your first Godzilla?
Yes.
Same.
Which is bad. This is a bad first Godzilla movie.
Yeah, it's probably not supposed to be anyone's first anything.
Yeah. But this should be no one's first Godzilla movie, for sure.
So what about you, Diggins? I know you know more about Godzilla than the two of us, but also what do you think about... Was this your first Godzilla thing?
I don't strictly remember. I definitely did watch this when it came out. I recall that. However, I also recall, as a child, at our local video game store... at our local video rental place. Mm-hmm. You know, how those used to exist.
Your old Blockbusters.
Yeah.
Well, actually, by me, it was an Easy Video and then a Hollywood Video. But same
Hollywood
concept.
Video. Oh, my goodness, Hollywood Video. That's where cool kids fucking went.
Heck yeah. But I frequently, as a child, rented old Godzilla movies and watched them because I thought Godzilla was cool. And I still do. Godzilla is cool.
Yeah.
I've seen... If not a majority, then at least a significant portion of the old Godzilla movies. I own the first era, the Showa era, on Blu-ray through that special collection that Criterion put out a little while ago. I have watched. I've watched at least one from every era, the Showa, Heisei, and Millennium eras. And I think Reiwa is the current era. I'm not sure. But I'm a big Godzilla fan. I love Godzilla. I love this big, dumb lizard. I love all the different ways that they portray him, either big evil monster, like force of nature, or friend to children. All of it. It's all good.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
nice.
so we've also... Wait, hold on. Did we all see this in theaters?
I did, yeah.
I think I did.
I think I did, too. I must have, because why else? There's no way I would see this at home. But I would have been like
Right.
10. I don't know. It seems like it would be a mistake for either... Like, I've seen this movie before, and either circumstance seems like a mistake. Taking a child to see it, or making someone watch it on TV or on video after you know it's bad.
I do distinctly recall owning this film on DVD, probably because I liked Godzilla so much as a kid.
DVD or VHS?
It was... I'm pretty sure it was a DVD.
I feel like that the late 90s and the 2000s, it could go either way, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie, man, it's called Godzilla. It is obviously
It sure is.
Yeah, they've called this Godzilla. The one from 2014 is also called Godzilla. And I think because
The one
of
from
that
1954 is also called Godzilla.
So is either one of them Godzilla, or are they both Godzilla 1998 and Godzilla 2014?
That's how you would refer to them if you want people to know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I guess it's strange that this movie, in America at least, for American audiences, is the original, and yet it still doesn't get the status of being the original one. It still has to be like, it's, you know, we have like Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2016. No one would, but you'd expect if you say Ghostbusters, the 1980s one. But with this one, it's like, there's no prime Godzilla. It might be the 2014 one, but...
I think the thing with Godzilla is it never really got Americanized. Like, other than the original Godzilla from 1954, when they brought it to America, they like cut it up and shot a bunch of new scenes with a new American character and everything. But other than that, Godzilla movies really just get released with bad dubbed over voice lines in America for decades upon decades. If anything, considering what a globally successful franchise it is, it's kind of surprising that it took until 1998 that before they ever took a crack at making an American one. Although part of that might be, I think Toho, the owner of the Godzilla license, might be pretty strict about letting people do that. So that might be the reason.
Yeah, would it surprise you, or would it be surprising for you to know that he died a week before they started making this movie?
Oh, really?
The like CEO?
The Toho, whoever, the creator of Godzilla.
Well, the creator of Godzilla and like the CEO of Toho are two different people.
Oh, maybe then is whoever the creator, apparently the creator of Godzilla died right before this movie started being made.
It's not a shocker.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe with him gone, they were like, "Oh, we can be a little less discerning." Although, I mean, to be fair, some of those Japanese movies are also kind of trash.
That's a good point.
But isn't that the point? Or no? Are they like meant to be
no.
good?
All of the Godzilla movies, except for the first one, oddly, are kind of like campy.
Okay.
You know, they're like B movies. But
Yeah.
When I say some of them are trash, I mean some of them are also not good.
I think, like, I guess that's, like, my thing with, like, Godzilla is I never knew how much of it was supposed to be in earnest. Like, especially this movie, I'm like, I'm not sure how much this movie wants me to take it seriously, because then a lot of times it has those, like, B-movie campy elements to it. And I don't know how true that is for, like, the rest of Godzilla, as it were.
Yeah, so I guess I actually kind of got that quote, or that fact wrong before. Godzilla. Oh, no, I was right. Godzilla's creator, Tomoyuki Tanaka, passed away only a month before the film began production. He was not only the producer of every major Godzilla film, but also the producer of various masterpieces by filmmakers Kurosawa, Naruse, and Ichikawa. So, yeah, that's not a great sign in general. But also maybe that's how they got away with some stuff. But I don't know. This movie is very strange as an adaptation of a very successful property, but not that kind of.
You know what it reminds me of, in a way? Mm-hmm. The Super Mario Brothers movie from around the same time period, in the sense of the people making that movie just made their own movie that they wanted to make, and then, like, painted Mario on top of it. It kind of feels like Roland Emerick just made another disaster movie and then put a Godzilla sheen over the top.
Yeah, you know what? There were a fair amount of the late 90s, early 2000s were they were turning out garbage like this. Remember the Catwoman movie? The same kind of thing. We want to call the movie this, but other than the fact that it kind of looks like Catwoman, that's all. It might as well just be a completely different character, but some of the things would kind of line up with things you may recognize as Catwoman things. Like she has a cat outfit, that's about it. She doesn't even have the same name. But yeah, it's quite. Yeah. I mean, I guess they probably still do that now, but I can't see this movie getting made in 2020 or 2021 or whatever.
Well, I mean, we have Godzilla movies getting made now, and they are very different, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, like, it feels like, to me, what this movie wanted to be is it wanted to be a Jurassic Park movie.
Oh, yeah.
Like, well,
why do you say that, DJ? Because the end of it is that scene from Jurassic Park, but instead of being a minute long, it's 20 minutes long.
And Godzilla's a fucking T-Rex.
And he keeps turning around and stuff.
And also, instead of being, like, good and tense and a great dramatic scene, it's very bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, all those things, basically.
Yeah, this movie, I mean, it's definitely I'm sure what happened behind the scenes was someone from, I'm assuming, God, I don't know. Not Universal, right?
No, it was TriStar.
TriStar.
This movie.
Okay, yeah. So someone at some studio was like, what do we have that's kind of like Jurassic Park? And they went, I guess we kind of have Godzilla. And then that's kind of where that conversation started and ended.
Yeah, right.
Is this movie any better if it's not Godzilla?
Yeah.
Is it though?
I think it's less offensive to my sensibilities. It's still not good.
Oh yeah, I guess what Diggins said, right, is that I'm less upset at it for like being a Godzilla movie, like knowing what Godzilla is. If it's just like it's called like T-Rex and like like this time it's Maximum X and it's like whatever.
Yeah, without the license, this would just be like some forgettable 90s disaster movie that nobody has any fondness for. Like, the only reason we still talk about it is because it's Godzilla.
Yeah, and it had an enormous budget, and just like, they really went all out with this Godzilla movie.
Does anyone remember? I have vivid memories of the Taco Bell tie-in commercials for this movie.
Oh, I don't.
Did he eat the dog?
It's implied, yes.
Oh, nice. No, I don't remember it, but what were they?
It was basically just the scene with the fish where they're baiting Godzilla, but instead of the fish, the bait is the Chihuahua, who is the mascot at the time. And like when Godzilla comes up, he like turns around and he's in. Obviously, Godzilla's not in the commercial ever, really, but you know they have this shadow, and the Chihuahua turns around, and I forget what he says, but he says something that's supposed to be funny, and if we watched now, we'd be like, this is kind of racist, isn't it?
Yeah, and then like it was like that's bizarre that they made a Taco Bell commercial for Taco Bell tacos, I'm assuming. Like was their product at the time, and chalupas and Crunchwrap Supremes and whatnot. And instead of alluring Godzilla with the big pile of those, they did the dog.
Take the dog.
Yeah, like they already sell food. Like I get it if like, Radio Shack needs to lure Godzilla and they end up with the Radio Shack mascot, but why wouldn't they? That's so weird.
Well, I mean, let's be real here. There's no way that Godzilla would want to. If they put out some Taco Bell, Godzilla would be running in the other direction.
Oh, you. This may be the most. I can't think of a single thing you've ever said on this podcast that may get you more vitriol from the internet than this. I don't
it's true.
have
That's a harsh one.
Really strong feelings about Taco Bell, but I know some people that will love it.
Oh my god!
Love it so much.
I just started looking this up to see if I was right, and there's 4 of these commercials.
Ooh, are they
Do
the
they use
same?
like a different dog every time? Like,
yeah, the dog says something different.
Let me see how right I was by watching one of them.
Okay.
Okay, there are signs that say free tacos, so that's the bait.
But is it a pile of tacos or just a dog?
Oh, it's the dog with a plate of tacos underneath a box with a stick propping it up so the dog can catch Godzilla.
Oh, I love it. Never mind. This is a good commercial. They should do this for everything, every movie with a big thing in it.
And then Godzilla shows up at the end, and then he looks into the camera and says, "I'm gonna need a bigger box."
Oh man!
God.
Again, we could do this commercial with the Hulk. We could do it with Thanos. We could do it with Geostorm or whatever. Any of these movies where there's a big giant danger thing. Just have that, and then have the thing, and then it waddles. Like Shadow waddles up to the plate of tacos, and then that'd be terrific. Geostorm, I only mentioned Geostorm because Geostorm is the most recent movie written by writer of this movie, Dean Devlin. And
the guy who invented Dungeon Dice Monsters?
That's right! I wish.
Duke Devlin.
Yeah, I'd fucking... Oh, my God. But also, I want to say he didn't... So... Yeah, so Dean Devlin, for people that don't know, so we'll take back a sec. Duke Devlin, for people that don't know, shows up in the middle of the first season or end of the first season, I forget, of Yu-Gi-Oh! Because sometimes those seasons are really long. And he has a new game that's Dice, and it kind of exists for 1 or 2 episodes, but he sticks around. He's like part of the crew. He doesn't wear a shirt. He has like a vest, I think, right?
Yeah, he's very handsome.
Yeah. Okay, so Dean Devlin, screenwriter, who usually works with Roland Emerick, who directed this. This guy wrote, like, Independence Day and, The Day After Tomorrow and stuff like that. I don't quite understand Roland Emerick and the appeal of him. Some of the movies are fine. I assume he was just the king of the 90s.
Basically, yeah. He had Twister, he had Independence Day, he had a lot of big hits.
Mm-hmm.
I think that some of his movies do work. I don't think this is one of them for reasons that I'll get into as we're covering it, I guess. But there are things that make disaster movies fun and that work. And he was kind of the Michael Bay of his day, and that he had big flashy special effects. Which for some reason this movie eschews mostly. But there's flashes of it, like the beginning, that guy running down the pier as it's blowing up and Godzilla is emerging from the East River. He was known for stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that Roland Emerick. So Roland Emerick also made 2012, that movie with, what's his name?
Oh, yeah, the
John
Apocalypse
Cusack.
movie.
Yeah. And that movie, more than anything else, I think, for me, solidified the Roland Emerick formula, and I don't think he's like, he invented this, and I wouldn't say perfected it, but that movie, I think I counted 7 times. Our heroes are in a thing, some sort of vehicle usually, that is going at speed and distance, and then there's some bigger thing behind them that's going at speed +1. And they're just like, oh my God, are they going to make it through the thing before it closes? And this movie is chock full of those.
Except instead of the characters you've been following and theoretically care about, it almost always involves characters you've never seen before and will never see again.
Yeah, it's like a misdirection, You're like, I know Matthew Broderick will make it to the end of this movie, but what about, Sluggo, the random army guy? Maybe not.
Will Hank Azaria make it out alive? Who knows?
Yeah. Really interesting. Real quick, I want to talk about Roland Emerick before we get to the IMDb summary, which we will do. Some other movies he's directed, and I'm going to say them in no particular order. Well, you know what? I'll go in the beginning. He directed Universal Soldier. I've never seen that. Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. Stargate, which I've seen. Independence Day. This. The Patriot. The Day After Tomorrow. 10,000 BC. Remember that? It's like a woolly mammoth or something.
Man.
Yeah, maybe that'll come up one of these days. 2012, and then he did a movie called Anonymous. I don't remember this, but I think it was about Shakespeare and like the people that actually wrote Shakespeare. Yeah, that's what it was. Doesn't matter. Then he did White House Down, 2013. Then he did Independence Day in 2016, the sequel. Except in the middle of those, he did a movie called Stonewall, which appears to be about the Stonewall riots and the
Oh,
gay rights campaign.
Oh,
and
yeah, I remember
would
hearing
assume
about this movie. Yeah,
some sort of
it was very
earthquake in the
bad.
middle. How does it become? What did he? That's such a. I mean, the whatever it is, Anonymous movie also seems like kind of a one of these things is not like the other in this list, but like, man, he also made that Midway movie where it's like planes and stuff, the Battle of Midway.
Trying to be Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, exactly. Trying to copy that classic formula of make a really long movie full of actors, and it'll play on the History Channel. But okay, guys, we've done enough stalling. Godzilla, 1998. I keep wanting to say 2000, but it's not. What is the Imdb summary for this movie? Yeah, we'll start.
A different movie that came out in 1999, actually.
Wait, what?
Godzilla 2000 is a Japanese movie that came out in 1999.
Aw,
like the title is Godzilla 2000.
That's terrific.
It's quite confusing.
Diggins, what do you think the IMDb summary for this movie is?
I'll
give you a hint. It's 2 sentences and it's on the long side.
Oh gosh.
Oh boy. A group of scientists discover that nuclear tests in the Pacific Ocean have created a new species of giant mutated monster that is barreling towards New York City. They have to work with the military to make sure that this creature, Godzilla, won't become the new dominant species of the planet.
Okay. DJ, what about you?
In an effort to save New York City, Todd Todopoulos must team up with the military and an old flame by stopping the rampaging Godzilla from creating even more Godzillas that could possibly overtake humanity as the dominant species on the planet.
It's only 1 sentence, you fool.
No, motherfucker.
I don't know, man. This is tricky. I mean, Diggins' was 2 sentences, which is, I guess, the bare minimum I can expect.
No.
So you both got some of the things. The phrasing, or not phrasing, but the construction was a little off. So here's what it is. I think I'm going to give it to Diggins. Here's the actual summary. A giant reptilian monster surfaces, leaving destruction in its wake as it strides into New York City. To stop it, an earthworm scientist, his reporter ex-girlfriend, and other unlikely heroes team up to save the city. Yeah, that's kind of it, I guess.
I feel like I got it closer, but whatever.
Really? Diggins called it a monster. That was helpful. He called it a giant mutated monster. That was good.
I mentioned the girlfriend.
Yeah, but...
I get it.
Yeah, but you only did 1 sentence.
Yeah, it was only 1 sentence.
Oh, my God. It's hard to string these together, man. I'm bad at words.
Mm-hmm.
We know this already.
Luckily, we are not operating in a medium primarily based around words, so...
That's true.
Well, thank goodness. Could you imagine if we were? Oof.
Yeah. Guys, this movie is pretty awful.
It's bad. It's very bad.
It stars,
It's no good.
and this is... Get ready for this. Not like get ready for this, but it stars quite a bunch of weird folk. Not that they're weird, but it's just a real cast of characters. You got Matthew Broderick playing Dr. Nico Taptopoulos.
Oh, man, Greek names. Am I right? They're so hard to pronounce.
Yeah. You got Jean Reno playing Philippe Roche. I forget. You have someone named Maria Patillo playing Audrey Timmons, the reporter ex-girlfriend. I'm wondering where I've seen her before, if anywhere. She doesn't look particularly familiar, and she shouldn't, because she's not in very many things. In fact, she was in Friends in 1 episode. And
who did she play?
Let's see, someone named Laura. And then
Probably a friend of one of the people's, right?
Probably one of the friends.
Probably a friend on the classic Friends.
That's right. Almost certainly.
One of the titular friends, perhaps.
She
Not one of the
exists.
titular friends.
No, yes.
A friend.
But then you've also got, beyond those 3, who I would say are probably the main characters, you got Hank Azaria playing Victor Animal Pilati,
I'm walking here.
Yep, classic New York cameraman. Kevin Dunn playing Colonel Hicks.
Hey, I own the military. You can't tell me what to do.
Yep. Excuse me. Well, I kind of want to save him. I'm saving him. Harry Shearer, Vicki Lewis. You got Doug Servant, a bunch of people.
Harry Shearer as basically just Kent Brockman.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
It's a who's who of people that were on TV in the 90s. And one or two movie stars. It's what do we think of this one? I'll let Diggins go first since he won the thing.
What do I think of the movie?
Yeah, what do you think of Godzilla 1998?
Well, it's bad. It's a bad movie that nobody should watch.
Yeah.
I guess to give a slightly more complex opinion than that, what I would say is it's, as I said before, it's basically a disaster movie. It's not a Godzilla movie. It's not really a giant monster movie. And I don't want to be like, you can't do that. Godzilla's always got to be a giant monster movie. Like, it's fine. But I think my biggest problem with this movie is it's also a bad disaster movie. It doesn't really... It just stuffs itself with, like, tropes and cliches from that genre, but it doesn't seem to understand why they exist, so it doesn't use any of them properly. Like... I don't know. I'll get more into it in specific scenes, but basically you have these character types that serve a function, and they're there, and they're saying the things that would serve that function, but it doesn't actually mean anything, and nothing happens because they're there and saying those things. So it's just like the movie knows that you're supposed to have that character, but it doesn't know why. So they're just standing around doing nothing but taking up time in scenes. And also Matthew Broderick is phoning it in so bad. He's like he has the same affect on every line he's saying, even the ones that are supposed to be very emotional.
Oh my God, there's a nest. We have to stop it or we could lose all of Manhattan.
There's one scene in particular where I find it so egregious that we'll get to.
Okay. I'm excited.
But yeah, and so then that makes like the main emotional heart of this movie is him reconnecting with his old girlfriend. And it doesn't work at all because he's not having any emotion. They have no chemistry. It's completely flat. Some of the other actors are like, they're very broad, but, you know, they're fun. Like Hank Azaria is pretty fun as his stereotypical New Yorker type of character. He's doing fun work.
I love the Knicks.
But just like the core isn't there. None of it works. So it's not just a bad movie in terms of not being what a Godzilla movie should be. It's a bad movie in terms of what it's trying to do.
Yeah, it's not good at being a Godzilla movie. And I agree. I think it gets, like, you can kind of see where the movie could work. And I think Roland Emmerich movies seem to live and die based on, whoever the main guy is. Specifically, like, Independence Day works because of Will Smith, mostly. And the other ones, too. But, like, Will Smith is the character that they needed here. And instead it was Matthew Broderick, earthworm scientist. And there was just, like, nothing there. I mean, not just Matthew Broderick. I mean, you could never get What's-His-Name to do this. You could never get Jeff Goldblum to do this. Because it's the same as the other movie he's already in. But, like, just something. You need somebody a little bit more interesting. I know we say this a lot, but I think this movie is one that could be supported by a Nicolas Cage type.
What movie couldn't?
Exactly, yeah. That's the tricky part. DJ, what about you? What did you think of Godzilla 1998?
I very much echo a lot of Diggins' comments. I feel like the biggest mistake this movie made is being a Godzilla movie because it doesn't understand the character. Because, like what Diggins said is that, like, Godzilla should fall into a category of either, like, friend to humans, rampaging natural disaster, or I forget what the third one was. Like, I'm here to fight other...
There's evil monster, like, actively malicious. There's force of nature, like, he's basically an animal and destructive, but, that's just because he is what he is. And then there's friend to children.
Yeah. So... the problem is this one doesn't hit anyone because it's like, well, this one's hungry and horny, I guess. Like, that's like what this, and that's not a thing. Like,
horny for itself.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, right? Like, this movie should just be called, like, Rex, or, like, something like big R-E-X. And it's just about a big T-Rex that's rampaging through Manhattan. But the fact that it's a Godzilla movie, I think, really misses the mark on what this movie should be doing. And the other thing is, I feel like if this movie was just called, like, Rex, and it's so close to being a, like, B-movie Sharknado, but it's not, because it takes itself a little too seriously because of the tone that this movie tries to take. But this movie would be so much better if it just did, like, the Sharknado thing, where everything's overly silly, the taxi bits at the end are, like, ridiculous, but you're like, oh, this is, like, can't be on purpose. People are just getting eaten by dinosaurs left and right. Like, that's what this movie should have been. Because it doesn't work as a disaster movie, and it doesn't work as a Godzilla movie, so it mostly comes off as boring, and, like, the performances aren't that compelling. Like, there's some funny laugh lines, but there's no tension. And, like, the one thing this movie, like, I feel like really wants to do is just destroy New York monuments. Like, that's all this movie's here to do. And, like, that's fine, but, like, it just doesn't gel with everything else that's going on. So then it just kind of comes off as, well, why are you doing this? The movie has, like, 8 climaxes, too. It's so stupid. It's overly long. Yeah, I don't like this movie at all. I think it does many, many things poorly.
Oh, yeah. I mean, almost all of Roland Emmerick's movies are about some buildings falling down and the things that cause that. Like, it's all just like, why did the buildings fall down? Because of 2012, or because the day of after tomorrow, or, you know, whatever 10,000 BC is about. So I can see him coming into a script, and it's like, where's it set? New York. All right, I think I know what this movie's about. And he just writes down a couple of names of things he's like familiar with, and then he gives it to Dean Devlin, and he's like, you get the rest. I don't really
make sure
need the
these
plot.
get blown up. Otherwise, do whatever you want.
Yeah. That's all anybody really comes to see my movies for, and in some like aspects, that's true. Like, he's been able to get pretty far on movies like Independence Day that are, you know, at least largely remembered for the blowy up parts. But
right,
yeah, there's limits.
Well, I think too, because like with Godzilla, like you're working with a character that like I don't know, serves a function, and like function isn't being served here. Like your monster movie is like also Jaws in that it hides around and like different things. And I don't know that much about Godzilla, but I feel like Godzilla is usually like, you know, primarily featured in the destruction. Like at least in the 2014 Godzilla, like they took their sweet time with showing us Godzilla, but like once we saw Godzilla, like it was Godzilla. Like that was not the case in this movie. Godzilla flutters in and out of this movie, you know, at whim, it seems. So, you know, concrete jungle, am I right?
With the buildings.
I mean,
which is
the
such
one
a ridiculous premise.
It's a concrete jungle, so they're like, yeah,
it's the perfect place
jungle.
for Godzilla to hide. They could go
I think
anywhere
there might be
he wants.
some more perfect places than that. I don't know.
No, it's an island, completely surrounded by water. It's the perfect place for him to hide.
So fucking stupid, man.
It's not even like, whatever.
It's an island completely surrounded by water. Yeah, I mean, this movie is really, really terrible. Yeah, I can't even. I don't know, man. It's got its moments, and I agree with DJ, and I kind of thought about this as well, like the Sharknado-iness of it. If it was able to be more of that, if like, and I think this is why Nicolas Cage kind of fits, but also Will Smith. Just if the Matthew Broderick's character was more of an action hero for some reason, and you know, like that's because that's how the Sharknado movies seem to work. But like, not that it has to be that, but like, it just really needed to pick, because I don't know, it just kind of feels like a cartoon, but not a really good one. And yeah, the Godzilla, like, I would say the one thing it does seem to get right is, I don't know if this is a Godzilla trope necessarily, but as bad as Godzilla is, the military is worse. Like, all the things that Godzilla destroys are a lot of things, but a lot of the things that Godzilla destroys are things that the military shot at, and just like Godzilla, you know, did a quick little dodge move away from, and then the military blew up those things. So I feel like that part of it's kind of fun. Yeah, I don't know. It's very long. It's way too long.
Yeah, especially when it has a satisfying ending at whatever mark. I think it's an hour 40. Like, you hit a point where it's like, cool ending, movie, I'm good. And then it keeps going, and you're like, fuck you, movie. I don't care enough about this. I'm going to play some Apex Legends while you're on in the background, movie. Mm-hmm. And I think I got the gist. I think I managed.
We'll see.
Yeah, right.
Because you might. We already kind of talked about Matthew Broderick. Not particularly a fan. What if like the main character was just what's his name, the French guy? That'd be
Jean
fine.
Man.
He was kind of fun to watch.
Hey there, how you doing?
God.
It's our. Hold on.
guess.
Did he call in, John? How's it going?
Hey, how's it going, fellas? I heard you talking about my movie. Oh,
Yeah.
I decided to put my little American accent here for you. I thought it'd be good. Thank you very much.
Well, it's not very
Okay.
well known, but that's actually your natural voice. You put on the French accent for most of your movies, right?
That is that is true. But you know, I don't like telling everyone. So how about it be a secret between you and me, fellas? Oh yeah,
So-
I'm the best.
So I just want everybody to know, like, I have seen you in movies before, and wasn't aware of how this, your accent works and stuff. I feel like it sounds kind of like George W. Bush, but then at the end it can't be George W. Bush, so it turns into Elvis every time. Is that the gist of where did you grow up, Jean Renaud?
Well, obviously, I grew up in France, but I'm such a huge fan of George W. Love me some 43, and yeah, he's kind of my inspiration. I used to listen to little Elvis rock and roll. Ain't nothing but a hound dog, am I right, fellas? So yeah, it really is an inspiration. But because I am French, I do a lot of French movies, but really feel myself like a pure-blooded American at heart. All right.
That's great. That is really terrific. Do you live in France or America?
I like to say I'm a citizen of the world. So, kind of everywhere. But COVID's kept me locked down in France, but it's a citizen of the world. Citizen of the world.
I'm glad we got to the bottom of what Jean Renaud's been up to in COVID. And you are in France, which is,
I am.
Where in France? Do you live in the Eiffel Tower?
I don't live in the Eiffel Tower.
Aw.
I live in the Seine. I live in the Seine.
You live
river.
in the river.
Well, on the river, not in the river. Now, come on,
yeah.
Diggins, don't be silly.
yeah, like
no
a
one would
houseboat?
live in a river. Yeah, we're very common in France. Actually, very common in France. Oh, I'm also a fan of Foghorn Leghorn. Oh, and the Colonel from KFC. I really think I love Americana more than anything else.
Yeah.
Mark Twain apple pie.
Yeah, you picked a
love
very
it.
specific, subgenre of America that seems to ignore a lot of the rest of it, which is fine,
Well, I think that's all there is. I mean, are there other parts that I'm missing?
No, yeah, that's most of it. I mean, there's a couple. You were in New York, right, for this movie, which you shot some of it. I'm pretty sure in New York. So, what'd you think of that?
I think New York's fine. I think New York's a little bit too, high. I think you're fancy, Madison Square Garden. You got the Chrysler Building. It's all very nice, but I don't think that is America. It's America. It's apple pie. Georgia. It's America. It's
Now you
Texas.
kind of sound like the bad guy from Wild Wild West. Now,
Well, he is seeming to start edging dangerously close to evincing a loyalty to the Confederacy. So that might be appropriate.
I do declare now. Don't let our listeners be confused. I am a lover of the Constitution, Diggins, of these great United States, which are whole and sovereign and are loyal to their leader, President Joe Biden. So I would never want to be accused of such horrible accusations.
That's good to know. Real quick, so the Godzilla movie. I read that Matthew Broderick signed on for this movie before he saw a script. Is that the case with you? Did anybody that worked on this movie see a script or kind of know what the gist of it was, besides just that Godzilla might be in it before they decided to be in it?
I'll be honest. When I heard the pitch of a Godzilla movie, I thought that Godzilla was some kind of like a Passion of the Christ kind of movie, like Godzilla. So I thought it was kind of maybe about God, and then Zilla was kind of like a faith based thing. So
right.
That's why I never heard of Godzilla the lizard before. So I was very confused when I saw the script come across my desk. But I love the cast. I thought everyone was great, and props to the crew and the cast and everyone else. Hank Azaria, boy, that Hank Azaria, he is a riot. I loved working with Hank Azaria. He is truly a man of the people.
Hey, John Renault, can you let me and Diggins talk for just a second?
Yeah,
Just,
please.
yeah,
I'll be right
you know,
here.
hum
Yeah.
the American songs to yourself. Hey, Diggins,
Yeah?
I think I know what's going on here.
What's going on here, Nando?
I don't think that's John Renault. I think it's Hank Azaria trying to fool us into thinking he's John Renault. Yeah.
He is a master of impressions. That could very well be Hank Azaria.
Exactly. And he was like, oh, I'll come on here and make John Renault look like an American guy. So then Hank Azaria, I'll talk Hank Azaria up. So while the Americans really like Hank Azaria, after, I don't know, whatever he's up to, he's Simpsons, he can, be a big star, whenever that ends, because it's going to end eventually. So, that's interesting, isn't it?
I think you're onto something here, Nando. How are we going to catch him in this lie, though?
We have to make him do Hank Azaria impressions. We have to tee him up for some, much like the movie does. Remember that bit where he says the thing that Mo says in the movie? Where he's like, "Ah, jeez." That was fun. So I guess we have to make Jean Renault Hank Azaria say one of those.
All right, well let's see. Who are some of Hank Azaria's classic characters that he's
Mo.
Still allowed to play?
I was going to say there's that other one, which we probably shouldn't do for legal reasons. Chief Wiggum, maybe?
Oh, we could get him to do comic book guy.
There we go. So
We have to ask him his opinion of this in relation to other Godzilla movies.
That's a great idea. And then he'll do comic book guy, and we'll be like, gotcha, Hank Azaria, and then the bit could be over. Okay, here we go. I'm going to call him back. Hank Azaria, John Renault, you can come back now.
Oh, yes, this is Jean Renault, loyal American, and definitely not Hank Azaria. I don't know why you would say that. That's a ridiculous accusation. I am not Hank Azaria. Why would you say that?
We wouldn't. We'd never said that.
You
said nice things
that
about Hank
life.
Azaria. Diggins had a question you want to ask you.
Oh, yes, please.
Yeah, I guess I was just wondering, Jean Renault, I know you said you had never heard of Godzilla before, but I assume having now acted in a Godzilla movie, or having done so 22 years ago, that you may have seen a couple more of them. So I guess if you had to place this movie in your general rankings of Godzilla movies, what spot do you think it would take? How would you describe that spot?
Well, obviously, I would have to put this ranking at the very bottom. It is terrible. It's the worst Godzilla movie ever. I cannot stand it.
Diggins, I think we got him.
Oh, we got him. You just fell into our plate of tacos that we have placed beneath a box with a stick propping it up, just like we knew you would, Hank Azaria.
Hank Azaria. No, I am Jean Renault. That is ridiculous. I am not Hank Azaria.
Oh my God, you are 100% Hank Azaria. Because I'm obviously, bam, Duffman!
Is
that one of the ones you play, Hank Azaria?
Yes, this is Duffman. Okay, I got you, obviously. Bam!
So Duffman is really Hank Azaria in this reality?
Yeah, no, Duffman. Obviously Duffman.
Cool.
I hope you loved my character Hank Azaria in the Godzilla movie.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was fine. DJ really liked it. I thought it was good.
I bet he did. He's a class act. Duffman.
Oh, gosh. I think DJ is pretending to be Duffman, pretending to be Hank Azaria, pretending to be Jean Renault to talk up DJ again. He keeps
This is getting a lot of layers. I'm not quite sure where we are anymore.
All right, guys, you got me. It was an elaborate scheme. I was pretending to be Jean Renault, pretending to be Hank Azaria, pretending to be Duffman to talk up myself, because I have very low self-esteem. So, I don't know. Will you guys talk about how cool I am now?
Okay.
I can't believe
now that you pulled that off.
You have ruined the integrity of this show. Never before have we had someone pretend to be a guest star. Mostly nitpicking.
Guys, I have some horrible news.
What happened?
Guys, the whole Michael Caine thing we do?
Michael Caine, the actor.
Yeah, you know how he comes on the show sometimes?
All the time.
Yeah, he's
Michael Caine.
He's a close personal friend, yeah.
How is he not in this?
Yeah, right?
I feel
that's me.
You're Michael Caine.
I'm Michael Caine. I'm Michael
the
Caine.
actor.
Yeah. Yeah,
the one that was in Tenet.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
That's good to know. Well, congratulations
So,
on your continued success.
Yeah,
You
thank
look
thank you.
much better off screen than you do on screen, I have to say.
Yeah.
You know what? It's like Batman. It's like an identity. So it's like I've been passed down from Michael Caine to Michael Caine. It's very complicated. I'm not.
Oh,
the
it's like
first
the
Michael
Dread
Caine,
Pirate
obviously.
Roberts.
I was gonna say, I don't
Yes,
think that's
yeah.
usually how Batman works. Batman, or Michael Caine. There's really only been the one. Sometimes there'll be others. I guess you got Batman Beyonds and such, but
Yes, exactly. It's more of a moniker.
I guess that's fair. I don't know what I was thinking. There's also like a future Batman now. It's all complicated. Who isn't Batman Beyond? And you're like, who the fuck is this guy then? Anyway, DJ or Michael Caine.
Yeah. I'm really embarrassed. I'm sorry.
It's
I didn't
okay.
mean for it to, like,
Because
come
of
out
this
like
or because
this.
of the Now You See Me movies?
That's also like a pretty bad thing on my ledger. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I'm
don't
also
know.
sorry for that.
That's okay. As long as you apologize. You
Yeah,
learned your
I'm sorry.
lesson.
Super sorry.
So John Reno was very good in this movie. Hank Azaria, as we talked about, pretty fun. Was doing something. Besides that, there were just a lot of other people that yelled at each other for the whole movie. And then there was the girlfriend scientist person, or reporter, excuse me.
Not to be confused with the scientist who called Earthworm Dr. Cute.
Yeah, what is it in this
Pretty much
movie?
unprompted.
Is
and
Matthew
then
Broderick-
immediately disappeared.
Is he a hunk in this movie? Or are we supposed to just see
guess.
Matthew Broderick and understand that every woman cannot help herself but, like, come on to him?
I don't know.
I guess.
Maybe
so,
that
yeah.
was the part of the script he saw. They were like, we're doing a Godzilla movie. Does every woman in it want to fuck me? Yes. Well, that's all I need to hear. Sign me up, baby. Because, yeah,
Everyone you meet, anyway. How many do I meet? Just the two. Good
just
enough.
the two. Yeah.
That's fucking awesome.
I feel like he, it feels like a really weird choice. I did not understand that, except for that they needed two characters, because if just she did it, we'd be like, is there something wrong with her? But if two women did it, you'd be like, I guess this universe is one where Matthew Broderick is a huge success, with the ladies.
I think it goes back to that thing I was saying before, where this movie just throws in lots of tropes and cliches from these kinds of movies, but doesn't understand why you have them. Because, on a surface level, I think it makes total sense. You have this team of 3 scientists who are supposed to be like the experts working out how to deal with the Godzilla problem. And so you introduce this tension of, like, the one guy clearly has a crush on the lady, but the lady instantly becomes interested in Matthew Broderick, but he's still all hung up on his old girlfriend. So then you instantly have created this internal team dynamic that causes friction and personal conflict. But then those two characters don't matter at all and, like, never show up again, basically. So it's just, we had this whole setup for no reason. I don't know. It's weird.
It's pretty dumb.
Yeah, no, I
This
didn't
movie
like
doesn't know
that
what
part.
it wants to be. Like, it wants to be Matthew Broderick is always right. He's so hot, and everyone, like, chicks, like, they fucking put out for earthworms, bro. Like,
Matthew Broderick
it's weird.
is always right, and pretty much everyone always listens to him except for one time.
Yeah.
There's never any point where he's like, well, my earthworm science says that it should be this, and everyone and the military around him's like, that's stupid. We're going to do this instead. They're always
You
like, well, all
fucking
right,
nerd.
you're the expert we hired, so I guess you would know. Okay, let's go ahead.
Yeah, but it is like at that one moment the movie remembered that in Ghostbusters they have to not listen to the Ghostbusters at least once, so they were like, well, we'll have to have people not listen to them one time, and then it can kind of go from there. Although I do think, who's your favorite character in this movie, DJ or Diggins? Do you have a favorite?
Actually, Hank Azaria. I love his character because even though it's stupid, it's consistent, right? Like, he's the one thing the whole time, and it doesn't change much. And I'm like, cool, movie, you got this one thing right.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I like Hank Azaria because, he's the, like, supportive friend of ex-girlfriend, who is also a weird New Yorker caricature.
Yep.
But, like, he serves that role. He does it pretty decently. In the scenes where he needs to show up and do the thing, he shows up and does the thing.
Yep.
He's like the only character that's, like, actually fulfilling all the roles he needs to be. So
Yeah, I think you can say John Reno's guy is also fulfilling a role. It's not necessarily the role you'd expect for him, or, like, it doesn't make a ton of sense in universe, but it's a role.
he's doing a fine job of it, like the actor is, but like that character doesn't make any sense, and I don't know why it exists.
Yeah, that's like kind of a problem.
It is really weird.
I do think the one thing that like Jean Reno and Hank Azaria do have in common is like they're fucking trying, and I appreciate that. Like it would be so much worse if everyone's performance in this movie was like one note and bad, but it's like, oh man, people in this movie are trying their best given the circumstances. Cool, man. Like I actually, unironically, I'm like, I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, I think like those two are good. I think the girlfriend is fine. She's a little like, I can't quite figure out what to do with her or like where to like pin her down in this movie. Because she's, I want to say all over the place, but she has a strange arc, and yeah, and it's kind of
Nando,
so tied to Matthew
all
Broderick that it's unbelievable at all points.
It all makes perfect sense. What you have to understand is that it is bad for journalists to want the public to know things, and they should never want that.
That's right. I mean, if the military doesn't want that, then they shouldn't want that.
Right. Even if there's no conceivable good that is being done by not releasing this information, and in fact, one could argue public harm by not releasing it, and the military is just being stubborn, you should still always listen to the military, because there are boys in uniform, and we should always respect the troops.
Boys. Bum, bum, bum. I'm saluting. I was saluting a lot during this movie. I started doing this thing because I watched The Rock the other day where I just salute whenever the troops are on screen, and like probably the troops paid to have the troops on screen. So there's a fair amount of that in this movie. Especially the beginning when they get him and they're like, "Are you the earthworm guy?" And he's like, "Yeah." And they're like, "We got you to do military stuff." And he's like, "I'm doing stuff." And they're like, "Nope." And then they make him go to the Godzilla footprint thing.
So here's a question. Here's a question for you guys. There's a point early in the movie where after they visit the big footprint in Panama, they're like talking about it, and the paleontologist lady is like, "It's a dinosaur," and Matthew Broderick's like, "Wait a minute, but he's radioactive, and so what if he's just a big radioactive lizard?" And everyone's like, wait a minute, maybe he's right. So sure, whatever, that's what you do in these kinds of movies. But then why did they get the radiation expert if they didn't think the radiation was part of it?
And also, who's to say it's not a radioactive dinosaur? Like, what's the difference? It's like a difference without a distinction where it's like, I'm pretty sure it's just a big lizard. Like, fucking, it's a dinosaur now. Like, treat it like it's a dinosaur and move on.
And, like, that doesn't matter. Like, the reason Godzilla, it matters that he's a nuclear power plant is that nukes don't work on him.
Right.
And it's like, not even this movie, it's like, well, what if we use nukes? It's like, he's in Manhattan, idiot. We can't use nukes, but it's like, you always can't use nukes because they just help Godzilla. But that doesn't matter in this movie because it's a T-Rex, not Godzilla.
Yeah.
So why even do the nuclear shit, period?
We have fully stripped that kind of context and commentary from this version of Godzilla. No one talks about nukes. No one, like they briefly are like, he exists because of this testing. And Jean Reno later is like, "My country did a very bad thing, and now I have to cover it up."
You know the French with their constant nuclear testing.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, France is the one at fault here, movie? They're the ones who did all the nuclear testing? I mean, they did some, I'm sure, but are they the big ones?
That's them. Yeah, that's what I heard. And they also, I mean, we get, at the beginning of this movie starts with this really long, like very, very long montage of like, animals and island and then bombs and like history, as if anybody was gonna be like, as if it's had to make sense at all, or the metaphor of Godzilla mattered in this movie, which doesn't. Like, there's no point where man understands their folly and decides to not do nuclear testing anymore, or like goes like, well, maybe Godzilla isn't a bad guy after all. Like, they're fucking still Godzilla. Like,
I was kind of surprised by the extent to which there is no like consideration of like, should we wipe out this new species?
Right.
Because it kind of seems to play with environmentalism at some points. Matthew Broderick's character was apparently once an activist against
that's right,
the propagation of nuclear weapons or something. Like, it feels like maybe in an earlier draft of the script they tried to say something, and then later they were like, nah, let's just take most of that out, and there's just a couple like relics of it left.
Well, and even like at the end of the movie when they're talking about all of like the raptors, basically, it's like these amazing creatures, but they would kill us all, so fuck them, right? Like he talks about them with reverence, but it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah, there's that. There's sympathy shots, like the first time we think Godzilla is dead, when Godzilla finds all its dead kids. We're like, oh, so sad, this creature is dying. And it's like, but nobody thinks that's bad in the movie. Everyone thinks it's good.
They're all like,
am I supposed to think it's bad, the movie watcher? Because for the most part, we're not even telling the story from Godzilla's perspective. It's all from the humans who all think killing Godzilla's good.
Yeah. It's, that I think, I mean, as the Godzilla expert, I'm sure you can like fill this part in, but I always understood that Godzilla was supposed to be some sort of metaphor for something, and this movie is Godzilla is a metaphor for Jurassic Park. But yeah, that I think is probably the biggest part of this movie that's missing in terms of any point of view or any just moviness outside of the buildings falling down.
I mean, there's it varies depending on the movie. Some of them are more just goofy fun than others.
Right, yeah.
But in many of the movies, and especially the original was very hard on this. Yes, Godzilla is a metaphor for, the irresponsibility of nuclear weapons and nuclear testing. There's also themes of, like, Japanese imperialism and it coming back, like their past haunting them, things like that. In a lot of the movies, there's stuff in Godzilla movies going on. It's not just goofy men in suits fighting each other.
And like, but, like the weird thing with this movie is that, like, sorry, I just like what struck me is like there's no counterpoint to like someone doesn't go to them like, you've made a terrible mistake, like you don't know what you've done by killing all these things, like there needs to be a balance. Like they don't care. They just want the movie to be over by most murder possible.
Well, we have like one character who does seem to fear for the safety of New York in a sense, kind of. Unfortunately, it's the mayor. He doesn't fear for the safety of New York, but he's the one that's upset when they blow up the Chrysler building by accident. And like, I think, I think if there was a character, like if there was a little bit more thought put into a beat like that, a Matthew Broderick type character who's maybe some sort of like, I don't know, lizard expert could be like upset about it or something. But like, yeah, besides that, there's just all these explosions and characters treat it like they know they're in a Roland Emerick movie and they're like, oh, cool, yeah, I thought about that. As I was driving up, I was like, that's pretty tall. That might explode. And then we kind of moved on, and then we went to a new place. We went to landmark to landmark to landmark to landmark. And they all exploded or burned to death or whatever.
The mayor character might be my most hated character in this movie because it is so nonsensical.
I absolutely loved it. So
no, I know what part of it you love, and I don't like that part. But my biggest part is it is the most like putting a character in a movie because you think you're supposed to, but not having any idea why they exist.
Yeah,
exactly,
absolutely,
exactly, bro. Well, that's it. That's 100% it.
To be fair to this movie, I do think this movie. So the movie as a picture, like as a motion picture that is supposed to work as, like something that we as the audience can understand as it's going along. Yeah, that character is making a lot of really, really strange choices, and he's just the worst, and, he's mean and whatever. In reality, looking back, I'm like in 2021, looking back at last year, going like, you know what? Depends on the city, but you could probably find a mayor that would behave like this in a Godzilla situation, We can't close down all the businesses. What is it? Just one Godzilla? Like, that sounds very similar to things I've heard in the last year. So that was one thing I really appreciated about that character. But yes, obviously the other thing is he is named after and looks like the most famous film critic of his day. And he has a cohort or like sidekick character that is also the most famous sidekick movie reviewer of his day. And
yes, The mayor and his aide are named after and very obviously supposed to be Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel, two high-profile film critics who famously do not like Roland Emmerich's movies, or did not. They are both dead. Rip in peace.
It's so funny. Like, it's so... I mean, like, it... Like, I think as far as... I guess I kind of respect Roland Emmerich's commitment to hating these people, because I'm sure if that happened today, right? And let's say there was some sort of... I don't know. I can't even guess who it would be. But like, if some sort of director had like a militant online fan base and was really hostile when it came to criticism, right? You would expect that all they would do with that is just tweet mean things every so often. But Roland Emmerich was like, no, we're going to make the bad guy of my Godzilla movie you're in the movie now, and you're doing your famous thumbs up catchphrase in the movie, and you stink. Everyone hates you. And I find that just... It's so bizarre.
Well, the internet barely existed back then. There wasn't a Twitter to sick your followers on people. So if you wanted to express your hatred of anyone daring to point out why your movies are bad, then you gotta put them in your movies.
This is why, one reason, a million why Twitter is not good. How it has ruined society is it has taken away the opportunity to put critics in movies. Although maybe they're happening and we're just not seeing them because we don't know that many critics. But it's apparently like obviously they didn't like this movie either. But
no one did.
Yeah,
this movie got very poorly acclaimed.
In their review, they did say that the actors that played them did good jobs. So there's that.
Good.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they're fine. They do both look a lot like Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel. I gotta give them that.
Yeah. No, I love that character. I love those characters for that reason, but also for the pandemic reason. And also, I do like them because they are the character that kind of pushes back against the military. And I guess in a 2021, like, it's hard. There's so much hindsight involved with this movie where, like, you look back at it, just from seeing other movies where, like, not like your Transformers is, but other movies where, like, the military oversteps their bounds and starts causing danger, and it's like, oh no, like an Iron or Avengers, where like they accidentally blow up they almost nuke the whole city. Like there's beats like that where you're like, yeah, I guess I'm not supposed to trust the military. But then there's also the knowledge of having seen this movie, knowing how fruitless an exercise it will be to shoot things at Godzilla. That I can't help but be on his side whenever he's like, what are you doing? This is insane. But yeah, you'd probably want a different character doing that, or that character to not be the villain.
Oh, I completely disagree, Nando. I don't think this movie thinks we should ever be questioning the military. I think it thinks we should be on their side the whole time.
Oh, no,
They're
for sure.
Wrong.
What I'm saying is, in like having seen better movies that do similar things, movie shorthand would tell you that the military should be questioned. So the character questioning the military is right, or the character that's like, don't do that, you guys. That's what I mean. And then obviously Godzilla shorthand and knowing that none of this will work also doesn't hurt.
Right. Well, normally that would be the Matthew Broderick character, but he never really fights with the military, except for that one point where they fire him because they think he leaked state secrets, which, fair enough.
I guess, yeah. I mean, but it does seem like those secrets would be hard to not leak. Like, the secrets of this movie and the things that the military, like, people, what are the secrets? That there was a Godzilla?
It's the nest. No one knew about
the nest theory. Yeah, I get. Yeah. This is what I was saying, where it's like the movie treats it as so horrible that she reported out his theory about what was happening. And it's like, at this point, the military wants people to stay out over the objections of the mayor, wants to make sure that the place stays evacuated. You would think putting out reports that, like, hey guys, the danger is still there, and, there might be even more dangers that you can't see stomping all over the island, so you should definitely stay out, would be a good thing. And it's not like Godzilla's watching the news. It's not like reporting on what they're doing makes it so Godzilla knows what they're up to and like ruins their strategy. So what's the harm in like reporting out the facts of the situation?
Right. And there's also, the movie doesn't go to any lengths to expose or to like show some sort of secondary, or I guess considering that the, buildings are being blown up by missiles from the military, some third wave of kind of danger in the form of panic or rioting. We do see one looting at one point, as like a little, one of the cutaway gags kind of. But later on, we see that other store owner that he ends up buying the the pregnancy tests from. And that's in working order. It seems like everything's going, pretty normal in New York that day. So it's like, if there was enough panic, then maybe I'd buy it. But I just don't.
I think the pregnancy test, that part was in New Jersey somewhere or Long Island, because I think that's where the base was, because Manhattan was supposed to be totally evacuated.
That makes a little bit more sense. I guess I just assumed. Yeah, you're probably right, because Manhattan wasn't evacuated.
It's also like later when Matthew Broderick is talking to her about it, he's like, she's like, we never said anything you said was off the record. He's like, I didn't think we had to. We're friends. And she's like, you directly acknowledged that I was a reporter when we first saw each other. I'm obviously here for this, because what else would I be here for? And then you just told me a bunch of stuff without ever bothering to say this is between us. Like, yeah. I mean, I'm certain there's better journalistic ethics I could have used here, but what did you think I was going to do with this information?
Yeah.
It's weird, too, because, this movie can't decide who's right and who's wrong, because I think in a more, because it's cliche, there's a lot of cliches in this movie, but I don't think, I think a lot of them miss the mark. But in a movie that plays the cliche parts a little more usual, Kevin Dunn's character would just dismiss what's-his-name all the time, Matthew Broderick all the time, in an unreasonable way. And then we would kind of get the feeling that, her leaking it is the right thing to do because of how much that guy sucks. But he doesn't really suck. He kind of sucks a little bit, but he seems to usually go along with plans. He gets all the fish. He's, I don't know. He's doing his best.
And it's also, to go back slightly, it's like with the mayor character, the reason I hate him, besides being a dumb jab at Ebert and Siskel, is that you have that character. Listen, it's basically the mayor character from Jaws, right? Yeah, you have the mayor character who dismisses the threat and wants the businesses to stay open because he's worried about his reelection. Blah, blah,
Jaws
blah.
And Ghostbusters. It's that guy.
Right.
That man.
Yeah. You know who that character is. But all this character does is sit around in the military briefings and be like, no, we have to keep the businesses open. And the military is like, no. And he's like, okay. And that's it. That's all he does the entire movie. The point of having that character is so that they can do something dangerous and irresponsible later that puts a lot of people in danger and increases the tension in the scene, because now the heroes not only have to do the thing, but, a lot more people are in danger because this guy was irresponsible. But he never does that. He just complains. So there's no point to him at all.
Do you think that character was in this script or always, or do you think the script existed without that character, and then later on that Ebert and Roper said something about Roland Emerick, and he was like, you know what, and he just wrote that character into the script to exist but not really do anything, just despite them?
I feel like it was kind of the opposite. I feel like they had the mayor character in earlier drafts, and at one point Roland Emerick was like, if I made this mayor character people aren't supposed to like Roger Ebert, that'd really show him.
That's true. And it's weird because this is one of a bunch of movies, but Roland Emerick does seem to, and Dean Devlin does seem to get this when it comes to movies. A lot of their other 2012, Day After Tomorrow, they have that guy. There's that guy who's like, no, it's not a danger. We have to keep going forward, and they work. It's weird about this movie is kind of an anomaly in their filmography. It's just so bizarre. What do you guys think of Godzilla in this movie?
Boo! Boo!
I give it 2 thumbs down.
There it is. This is my boy.
Yeah.
That's my boy.
Oh, yeah. That we should bring that back. That's not copyrighted, right? Nah, probably not.
I don't think you could possibly copyright the concept of giving things thumbs up or down.
Oh, Diggins, you poor foreigner. I welcome to America.
Child.
Yeah, you'll find you can copyright anything. a guy tried to copyright the phrase "you're fired," and 20 years later he was the president or something. So like that, it's very reasonable. I will say this Godzilla. So apparently it was a very close secret. So much so that like before the movie, people didn't even know what it looked like at all. They knew it had a foot, and it was in all the ads, and they knew that it was kind of big. But like they were very tight with what the Godzilla of the movie would look like until like toys, I'm assuming, which is crazy.
Toys always spoil it.
Yeah, I remember but like I remember the existence of Godzilla toys. So, and I'm sure like I feel like there were definitely Jurassic Park toys. So they, when they did the very cruel like calculus to figure out whether this movie was worth making or not, part of it was like Jurassic Park has toys and so do we. But they made a big deal about like not leaking what this Godzilla looked like, which it feels like in 2020 they would put a trailer out with this Godzilla and then we'd all go nope, and then they'd go back to the drawing board like Sonic the Hedgehog. Like they needed that annoying fan base to fix the part of the movie that was clearly a mistake. I mean, I don't think the look of Godzilla is the worst part, but it's a really strange look because it's very dinosaur-y.
Yeah, it feels very like we wanted to make a realistic Godzilla, which is a choice, but it doesn't end up looking very good.
No, and it doesn't do the atomic breath like Godzilla does. It does like a mega breath, I think is what it's called. And
mega breath.
I think
like
there
that.
has been extensive debate over the years over whether in that one scene it's supposed to have fire breath or if something just explodes while it's yelling.
So I actually looked this up too. Where is it? I mean, there's so much. There's so much crazy trivia about this movie. I do want to find that real quick. Hold on, sorry. Well, I'll find that one. Oh, here we go. Okay. Roland Emerick and Devlin abandoned Godzilla's iconic atomic breath in favor of a, quote, power breath, where their Godzilla would simply blow objects away by inhaling a strong wind-like breath. However, news of the power breath leaked before the film's release, which outraged fans and forced Emerick and Devlin to make last-minute changes to scenes involving the power breath. Effects supervisor Volker Engel stated, quote, Dean and Roland wanted this monster to retain a certain menace and credibility, but Godzilla's breath is something everyone expects to see at some point. So they came up with instances in which you would see something like the old breath, but with the kind of logic applied to it, we made the assumption that something in the breath, when it came in contact with flame, caused combustive ignition. So you get this flamethrower effect, which causes everything to ignite. Creature designer Patrick, and I swear this is his name, Tatopoulos, added, we were creating an animal. We weren't creating a monster. Yep, its name is Tatopoulos. That's what it's named after, is the guy who designed the awful Godzilla for the movie. Yeah.
And, like, I get that as an idea of, like, wanting to do a realistic Godzilla, but I don't know why you would do that, especially in a movie that is not particularly aiming for realism anyway.
Yeah. Like
it's not like the things around this movie are like really realistic, like gritty human scenarios. They're like goofy disaster movie garbage. So why do we need the rest of them? Why do we need the big monster in the movie to be realistic?
Yeah, I feel like if you want to make a realistic Godzilla, you could do one of two things, both of which have been done. The first one is like kind of do Godzilla 2014, where the Godzilla is just really, really, really big, and it's like more or less what Godzilla fans are like, but you treat it like every move it makes causes a big, tsunami, and it's really, really scary. The other option for what Godzilla would be like in real life is kind of the little dinosaur babies. And it would be weird if they had radioactive breath. But I feel like
it'd be so cool, though.
But yeah, it would be awesome. It would be so funny if they had it and regular Godzilla didn't.
Skips a generation.
Yeah. But the idea that, like, what's Godzilla? Well, it's a radioactive monster, and it's 1,000 feet tall or whatever. Well, what if there was a radioactive monster, but it was just kind of big? I could buy that. But, yeah, both of them together are pretty pointless. Speaking of Godzilla, this is the other piece of trivia I feel like we got to get out here. So, Toho Studios gave the American creators a 75-page dossier of what they can and cannot do with Godzilla's character. This included the following rules. Godzilla cannot eat people, only fish. He has to have 3 rows of dorsal plates, no more or no less than 3 toes on the back foot, and 4 fingers on his hands. He cannot be made to look silly, and he cannot die in the movie. Almost all of the points in the book were disregarded, and according to Patrick Tatopoulos, the only specific instructions Roland Emerick gave him was that Godzilla should be able to run incredibly fast, and that it shouldn't resemble a dinosaur too closely. So it's
well, they failed on one of those.
Yeah, it is very fast. It's the fastest of the Godzillas for sure, right? Like,
and the dying part though too.
Oh yeah, no, the dying, it eats people, kind of like it definitely.
Yeah, it totally eats people.
Hold on. Does Godzilla eat a single person in this movie successfully?
I mean, doesn't it like eat the helicopter, which has a person in it?
Yeah,
but I guess. But the helicopter, it kind of just like catches in its mouth and like shakes around, and then the helicopter explodes, right?
So 2 people die by helicopter. 2 helicopters explode within about a minute of each other. I feel like one of those gets eaten.
Right, the last one, he jumps up and catches it in his mouth, but I don't remember if he actually swallows it or if he's just like catches it in his mouth and like shakes it around.
What about the first
he
one?
Might swallow it? I don't remember. The first helicopters, he totally just swats out of the air. He does not eat those ones.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I think it does eat people in this movie. I mean, it eats, well,
I mean, the babies definitely do. I'm wondering if the main Godzilla successfully eats a single person in the movie.
I guess we don't know if the Godzilla ate everybody on the submarine, but we know that there was one survivor of the submarine incident.
No, not the submarine. The Japanese fishing boat.
Oh, yeah, the fishing boat, right, sorry. So there's that, I guess. Does Godzilla eat a person? I mean, if Godzilla was going to eat someone, it would be the mayor. And, like, if that was going to be part of it, even those guys that are looting the store that are like, I got a bad feeling about this, I don't think Godzilla even gets them. I don't even know why they're in it. Godzilla does not step on what's-his-name, which is great, Hank Azaria.
Oh,
it may be the only
that was hilarious.
moment like that of the movie that really worked for me. But, yeah, I wonder...
I'm thinking about it. I'm not sure that this Godzilla on screen ever kills a single person who is not trying to kill it at that moment.
So Godzilla's a good guy.
Well, it definitely kills people that aren't trying to kill it at that moment. Like,
I'm sure, like, when it started rampaging through New York the first time, people died.
Yeah.
Like, no question.
Oh, yeah, people get
I'm just saying, on screen, I don't think it kills anyone besides military guys who are actively attempting to kill it at that moment.
Interesting. I mean, no named characters are killed by Godzilla, I think, right? That's like a thing.
No named characters... Well, I guess the other French soldiers are named characters, technically.
Oh, yeah.
But I was going to say, other than them, no named characters die at all, really.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, maybe Godzilla doesn't kill anyone on screen. But, yeah, I guess we don't see that many people on screen. We see the fisherman guy. We see the guy on the dock. Does he survive?
Does he die? Because he's
No,
running
he makes
while the
it.
beer's
Yeah, he
blowing
makes
up.
it.
I think he makes it. And I mean, we see the people on the Japanese fishing boat, but we don't see any of them die.
Right.
Even though apparently all but one of them did.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Maybe Godzilla doesn't kill anybody in this movie.
Other than a couple military people who are shooting at it at the time.
Yeah, and it should kill more, probably. Like, you'd expect it would kill a lot of people just by kind of being around, but...
Wow, Nando's taking a hardline stance on the military here.
Godzilla
should have killed more of them.
I'm not saying I want Godzilla to have killed more people. I'm just saying more people would have died. Like, there would be death. Like, everybody would be getting stepped on.
It's the realism factor that's just missing from this movie, or whatever. Who knows?
Well, I mean,
in 2021, people would have liked that.
Oh, man. Well, don't get me started on Godzilla and the military.
I was talking about getting stepped on.
Oh, that's true. Oh, yeah, that's true. Oh, yeah, because of that tall vampire one thing from that thing. What's the game? There's a game, right?
Yeah, Resident Evil 8.
Evil
Village with the hot tall vampire lady that everybody wants.
I mean, can you blame them?
No,
Yeah.
I think they're right, and they should say it. I'm just saying that's what's happening.
Yeah, so I think Godzilla It is, yeah, I don't know. This movie's like, I guess one thing about Godzilla with me, I think people react very strangely to the existence of Godzilla in this movie, person to person. I think the only character that I think reacts the way I'd expect a character to react to it is Hank Azaria, right? Who's just like, wow, like, that's a big monster thingy. Maybe it's just because he's the only actor acting, and John Reno is acting not like that. But, like, everybody else, it feels like we've done a couple of monsters, none quite as big as Godzilla, and now we got to do Godzilla, which is, like, twice as big as the last time we had to kill one of these. Because, like, they're kind of ready to go.
Yeah, that's another thing about doing this as, like, a realistic Godzilla movie. People are not acting like they would if a giant monster suddenly showed up in New York City. Everyone's just kind of like, oh, man, what a crazy thing that happened. Not, oh, my God, there are giant monsters? What's going on?
There would be looting all over. Like, Long Island wouldn't be safe. That drugstore would have no pregnancy tests left. But it is. It's fine. No one cares. Everybody's just ready to move on. I mean, this was 1998. It was a simpler time back then. Godzilla showed up. It wouldn't ruin your whole week. Now it'd be like the main news story. Oh, thanks, CNN. Yeah. What do we think of...
sorry, there has been a lot of size inflation with Godzilla over the years.
Yes.
Like, if you compare the Godzilla in the current American movies,
oh my god,
to like historical Godzillas or this Godzilla, even like they've gotten way bigger over the years.
Yeah, this Godzilla's quite small. Even for just like a dinosaur movie, like I know how big a T-Rex is supposed to be from Jurassic Park movies, and that's like the biggest dinosaur, or like, you know, the biggest one with a big giant mouth to eat you. And then, like, I know that this Godzilla is bigger than one of those. But then I'm like, how much bigger is it? Sometimes it's really, really big. But it's also, it was built to fuck around in New York City streets where it's just about as wide as a street, but big enough that it can just jump right through a whole building. And, I mean, it's fine, but it's a weird, I don't know, it's a weird size for a Godzilla.
And it's inconsistent. There are not consistent Godzilla sizes in this movie, so
it does.
That's also a thing.
Yeah.
I guess like
Godzilla is as big as Godzilla needs to be able to somehow hide, despite being a giant lizard.
Yeah,
but also get tangled up by the Brooklyn Bridge just entirely. Like, yeah, it's insane.
Well, and Godzilla, like in this movie, it is like we see it breaks the pier. We see what it did to the fishing boat. It, you know, crashes into some buildings in pursuit of the military and knocks over, like, does some scrapey damage and blows up some stuff. But in general, for a Godzilla movie, not that many things are destroyed by Godzilla, you know?
Yeah, it's like a lot of collateral damage stuff, right?
Other than the Brooklyn Bridge and and half of Madison Square Garden, I think all the famous landmarks that get blown up in this movie get blown up by the military.
Yeah.
They are bad.
Like, it's like Godzilla's just like, it's not being helpful. And I get why the military wants to kill it and just like do something about this Godzilla. But like,
he's a menace.
It's kind of like, it's like,
I want pictures of Godzilla.
It's about as dangerous to the city as if like a couple of elephants got loose in the city. And then we shot missiles at him and missed a bunch, and then blew up all the buildings. And then it's like, I feel like there. But
then,
like
if we did hit them with the missiles would have worked. So
that's like, true. Yeah,
they're not even that like on an individual level. They're extremely dangerous. On a society level, we'd be fine. Shoot them with missiles.
Yeah, I feel like the thing with the Godzilla here is like, I feel like there would be an autopsy. Like a political autopsy post Godzilla, and it would make the government look awful. Like they would. Just,
Nando, yeah. I have the movie for you in my Rex.
Okay, very good.
I'm saving that as a tantalizing tidbit, but I had the same thought of like, this is exactly like this other movie, except that movie was good, about how. It's about the failures of the government in response to the tragedy.
I know what you're talking about. I have not seen that, but it's on my list. I think I know what you're talking about.
Okay. Well, we'll see when we get to Rex.
We will. I thought, okay, so how about this? What about the love story, guys? Because that's what it's a movie
what?
about characters. Matthew Broderick. What's the deal with Matthew Broderick and whoever her name is, the girl one, the reporter?
I legit
lady.
cannot remember. Is it Annie? Ashley?
Something like that. Yeah.
I think it's A something.
Audrey.
There you
got
go.
There. I kept thinking, Seymour from Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah.
So I have to say, when early in the movie, right, there's Matthew Broderick is doing earthworms, and he has his little like suitcase or whatever, and he pulls out there's like a little photo in there. Is that supposed to be her?
Yeah, probably.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Later she looks at it, and instead of being like, wow, it's been 8 years and he still has pictures of me in his office, that's kind of creepy. She's like, oh, how sweet, he still thinks of me.
Yeah, that's right.
So we are to learn that Matthew Broderick used to have an old flame called Audrey, who she proposed to him? He proposed to her?
He proposed to her.
They never really get into it. It sounds like he proposed to her, and instead of answering, she just abandoned him in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
She's like, nah, you
Which,
do earthworms.
Later she acts like... first, they apparently never talked again after that, but then later she acts like he's being unreasonable for still being mad about that. I think it's very reasonable to be mad about that.
Yeah.
You ghosted me after I proposed? Like, the fuck, lady?
Is she? I mean, she's not the villain of the movie, but
She's not the hero, though.
I mean, I guess
Well,
like,
she kind of is. She's a
got-
hero.
she does
she's
some
there.
heroic things, but she also does the most non-heroic things. Like when she
Of a main character.
Yeah, she's the only character that like betrays Matthew Broderick's trust throughout the movie and commits non-Godzilla related movie sins, which is weird, but also their relationship is just a disaster. Like, it's so weird that they're together at the end and it's nice.
Yeah.
Well, they have, like I said, they have absolutely no chemistry at all.
Yeah. Oh, man. Here's something weird. So why don't you take one guess? I'll give you each one guess. Who I think either was originally going to play this character or was looked at to play this character. The girlfriend reporter.
Jennifer Aniston.
Nope.
I don't think... let me think.
Think about it.
Who would have been a good leading
who would
lady
it
at the
be
time?
Kind of
Michelle
ironic.
Pfeiffer.
No.
Oh, kind of ironic?
Yeah, considering what we were just discussing.
Gina Carano.
Oh, God.
Yo, did you hear about her, by the way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you hear?
Bye.
Did you hear the good news or the bad news?
Oh,
I heard both.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't think DJ served the good news. She fired. She gone.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's good that
That's
it's nice
good.
that she's gone. Yeah, it's nice. No, I'm talking about Sarah Jessica Parker, Matthew Broderick's real life wife, was in the running for that. Yeah, so that's kind of a bummer. Not like a bummer because who cares, but like that might have helped the chemistry a little bit. Probably not because I don't think he could have it.
God.
His character, like he didn't seem like he was ready to have actual chemistry in this movie with anyone. But
yeah, that's the thing. It's like I don't feel like the problem was the actress. Like I don't think
Yeah.
she was. She's not doing a great job. She's not an especially memorable actress, but she's fine. But Matthew Broderick is just not trying at all.
What do you think? Do you think he agreed to the movie, got the script, and then was like, "Oh no," or do you think he's just this? Is it because he's been good in stuff, you know? Besides Ferris Bueller, like Election was around this time.
Election
he was doing
so good.
He was doing Producers. Was that
Lion King.
yeah
Producers was a few years later, but
on
same
on
era
Broadway
of Matthew
or
Broderick.
in the movie?
On Broadway.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, like, it's not like I could see someone making the case now or 10 years ago that Matthew Broderick has given up and he's phoning it in and whatever. But, like, in this, it's very, like, I don't know. It's like a, speaking of Roland Emerick, like, he would get a guy like a Will Smith or a Mel Gibson in The Patriot. And, he would get someone that has star power and charisma. And even if it wasn't an incredibly good performance, you'd get the star power and charisma out of him, and the movie would be watchable. But it's weird that this doesn't work at all.
I just don't think Matthew Broderick has, like, action movie leading man energy.
Yeah.
I just don't think he can do it.
That's a good point. Do you think it's because he was they hired him because they wanted to make a realistic movie, and they were like, we'll hire a guy first guy who walks into my office.
Every man.
Yeah,
he's supposed to be a nerd. We got to hire a nebbishy guy, not like big action movie star. They wouldn't be scientists.
Yeah.
I feel like that was probably the thinking.
I think that makes sense. Yeah, I don't want to go through the whole plot. Let's talk about some of the really weird parts of this movie. So, let's talk about this, because we've kind of danced around who he is, not throwing away, but, spoilers be damned, what's the deal with Jean Reno in this?
Oh.
The whole plot line with his character doesn't make any sense.
No, it's bananas.
For half of the movie, at least, we just follow him occasionally in throwaway scenes where he is showing up at the disaster site in Panama, because apparently Godzilla figured out that the Isthmus of Panama was the shortest spot to get from the Atlantic to the Pacific, and crossed there.
Yep.
But so he shows up there pretending to be from a French insurance company. We see him throughout, pretending to be various people so he can plant spy devices and track what the military is doing about the Godzilla situation. And we don't find out in any of these scenes why he's doing any of this, but it's him and a bunch of other French guys doing weird French jokes about how they hate American culture.
Oh my God, it's amazing. That, you know what? That's also a thing I could live with as the movie. It's just them Godzillaing around, and then every time there's not a Godzilla, they pick up French soup. No, this is not French soup.
Yeah, literally literally a scene in this movie is Jean Reno taking a donut out of a bag and being like, they don't have croissant?
Yeah. Yeah, his arc is like we said, Matthew Broderick's arc in this movie is he falls back in love or whatever. His, girlfriend's arc is she falls back in love, and all their arcs is they save the world. Hank Azaria's arc is kind of he proves himself as a cool reporter who's sweet, and Jean Reno's arc is he gets a good cup of French coffee. That's all he wants this whole movie is just French roast. And they do not have French roast.
I thought you said this was French roast. I am going to need more cream.
Yeah, it is. It's just, but that's the kind of stuff that I kind of dug in this movie.
If they leaned into that would have been dumb fun.
His character could have been Nicolas Cage, and he could have been American, and I think it would have made just as much sense. If it's I'm from a different thing, called Monarch, probably, but some other thing that's not the government that does this. And it's my job to go and talk to the one survivor and wave a fucking lighter in front of his face to get him to say the name of Godzilla. Because I'm an action movie cliche. Because this guy was both a French guy cliche, baguettes and a beret kind of character, and also the action movie cliche. Which is cute. I mean, he's the professional, right? In 1994. So they were just doing more of that, I guess. Yeah.
So what it turns out is that after Matthew Broderick's character gets let go from the operation for they think leaking state secrets, he gets picked up by Jean Reno's character, and it turns out that he's with the French Secret Service. And you're like, oh no, what's their ulterior motive that they won't work with the Americans on this? And it's we want Godzilla gone also in exactly the same way and fashion, but we feel bad about nuclear testing, so we don't want to tell the Americans.
Yep. And he has a team.
And it's the America did a lot of that too, right? In fact, they probably did way more than you did. I don't think you got to take this one entirely on. I don't think you got to take this one entirely on your backs, France.
Maybe he just doesn't know that. Maybe he knows that they did a nuclear test, and he thinks they're France is the only one, and he sees that there's a Godzilla and kind of gets the nuclear thing. And he's like, oh no, this must be us. We are the only one it could be. And he packs up his bags and leaves before anybody can tell him that it's probably not France's fault, or it's they're not the only one to blame, because I imagine Secret Service in America the Secret Service isn't the CIA, right? Like, is it that
No,
in
they
France?
are different things.
Very different branches.
So what,
right, because he says he's in the French Secret Service, right?
yeah.
Well, but I don't think they call what we call Secret Service. I don't think they call Secret Service in France.
What's the Foreign Legion? Is that something? I've heard
That's
that phrase
like
before, French Foreign Legion.
The Foreign Legion is a military outpost that France maintained in northern Africa that non-French citizens were allowed to enlist in. And it kind of became like this romanticized thing of like you go, kind of like the Peace Corps is now. Like you go off and join the Foreign Legion.
I see.
Like to get away from life for a while.
So, yeah, that wouldn't have made much sense. But, yeah, I'm imagining there is some sort of... I don't know. They're the French Secret Service, I think they probably should have just been, like, monarch. I mean, it's not like they had any information. Or, like, not they had any information, but, like, it's not like... What's the way to describe... Like, he didn't have any special gear.
Yeah, he wasn't a Godzilla-related like, specialist. Like, we specialize in Godzilla, so we're here. It's like it could have been the British Secret Service, the Portuguese Secret Service. Like it could have literally been anyone.
The Japanese Secret Service, you know?
Yeah.
Put some Japanese people in this Godzilla movie, maybe.
Absolutely not.
That's true. They'd see all the mistakes from a mile away. And they're like, yeah, no, this ain't gonna go. Because apparently people that were associated with Godzilla like walked out of screenings for this when they saw it. The guy who did Godzilla in the suit. When he saw it, he walked out halfway through and was like, this stinks. So it did seem like the Godzilla fandom understood pretty quickly how much of a mistake everything was. But yeah, for John Renault's guy, whose name, does he get a name? I don't think he does.
Philippe Roche.
Right, yeah, duh. Yeah. So him and then his four guys, who according to the IMDb are all named John something. So Jean-Pierre, Jean-Paul, and whatever. They like set up shop in Long Island or whatever, and they also follow Godzilla around because they're the people that get the information. He's the guy who waves the lighter in front of the old man's face and is like, "Tell me the secret of it. What's his name? What is it called? We need to, otherwise it's just got a generic dinosaur." And that guy's like, "Godzilla." And then you're like, okay, that makes sense.
Actually, did you guys catch this reference? That they
reporter's dumb line
layer out
it's pronounced Gojira, you pig.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Because Gojira, if you are not aware, is the original Japanese name for Godzilla. It's what they still call him in Japan. It is a portmanteau of the Japanese words for gorilla and whale.
Oh, so Godzilla versus Kong. You could kind of take, you can like, it's like if they're on other sides of the equal sign, you could cancel the gorilla and Kong out, and it's just like king versus whale, kind of.
Exactly.
How about this? Well, okay, my one of my favorite details of this movie, and a lot of movies do this, but it's just extra stupid because this movie's so stupid. Remember when they're watching the tape of him having this conversation with the guy who says Gojira?
Yeah.
Remember that it's from his perspective. They're watching the movie itself. I love it when that happens in movies.
Yes,
it's so silly.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah,
it's like we just didn't want to put any effort at all. Like we're not gonna film this scene again from another angle with like a worse camera or something. Are you kidding me? Just use the shot. Who cares?
Yeah, he had a lapel like camera on or something. It's like a hidden camera show, kind of. There's cameras everywhere. And we edited for dramatic effect mid-part so that we could, for the audience, which is Matthew Broderick in this movie. So there's Godzilla incidents, whatever. Everybody gets pulled together because whatever. Godzilla shows up in New York. Day one of Godzilla, or incident one. What happens?
Well, you get a very comical moment where like there's by the way, just a side note, I feel like it rains for this whole movie and I don't know why. I feel bad for all the actors because they're just wet all the time.
Oh, I have stories. So apparently they wore wetsuits for most of the movie under their clothes, or at least for some scenes, and apparently they were really difficult to put on because the zippers were in the back, right? And
oh my god.
So like it was a pain in the ass. Matthew Broderick tells the story. And maybe this is why I wasn't having any fun. he was doing a scene one day later, like, after many days of this, and with Hank Azaria, and Hank Azaria, like, unbuttoned his shirt, and then he zipped his thing down, but it had a zipper in the front. And Matthew Broderick's like, why do you get one that zippers in the front? And Hank Azaria's like, what do you mean? And Matthew Broderick was just wearing his backwards the whole time. So that's something. Yeah, enjoy that. Watch the movie again and just think about the fact that Matthew Broderick is wearing his wetsuit backwards under his clothes. But apparently that's supposed to be a tribute to like the original Godzilla. There's like lots of rain in it, but apparently they kind of got that wrong too. Like that's kind of a not like a misnomer because that there is rain in Godzilla movies, but it's not as consistent as you would expect. And, like, I guess it's raining so that it can be a little trickier to find a Godzilla. But, I mean, like, it doesn't really make any big... It's not like it washes away his tracks in the street or something. He's under about the same conditions. And it's not like planes or not planes. It's not like the, helicopters getting struck by lightning or something.
Oh, yeah, they're fine. Flying is no problem in this. It's like, we can't scramble the jets because of all the rain. It's like, nah, you're good to go.
Yeah. If it's a wing it, get in there real close. You have some fun, Do all that stuff you only do in the training sim to see if you could maybe manage it. Go do it in real life in New York City.
Yeah, right. Fire some missiles within, general civilian proximity. Yeah, fine.
Pretend your helicopter's a car. And just do left turns and right turns, and that's it. And then have fun. Just have fun. Kill a Godzilla, but also enjoy yourself.
Have fun out there, boys.
Yeah, have fun.
Have fun out there.
So Godzilla, he breaks through the whole thingy, like he breaks through the pier. Are you going to describe that scene? Because I do. That is a cute little bit.
Yeah, it's like, so you got old Joe. He's going out. It's like, I'm catching the big one today, boys. It's just this old fisherman guy. And, he throws his line in, and these like two dock workers are like, joshing with him, like, there's crazy old Joe, and he's like, oh my god, I got a big one, and his line's going out. It's very cliche. You've seen this scene before, like Diggins was talking about classic disaster movie scenes. I guarantee you've seen this one before. And he's pulling on the line. It's like, it's a big one, boys. It's a big one. It's a big one. And then he loses the fishing pole. It's like gone from his hands, and then the two dock workers are like, hey, Joe, you gotta hold on to it. And then like you hear the roar, and then just Godzilla bursts from the pier, and Joe's fucking running for his life. I thought it was funny. A little classic disaster scene in there. Doesn't make up for the rest of the movie, but it was a fun little scene to introduce Godzilla, because that's the first time we really see him.
So I have a question about that.
Yeah.
What is happening in that scene with the fishing hook?
Oh, dude, fucking find
right?
out, man.
Like,
it makes
no
sense.
That only works in Jaws when the fish is going away from the pier or the boat,
yeah.
And then it drags you. But it's like, it gets it, and then like doubles back, and then comes back around. Like, what do they catch?
There would have been so much slack. It's like, whoa, I got a lot of slack in my line.
Yeah,
what's
right?
going on here?
Maybe Godzilla's tail was swishing around and it caught the hook at like the top end of its swishing and then swished the other way, and that's what pulled it down. And then Godzilla decided to get up.
So that is one example or one like scenario I will accept. The other one I will accept is that something else that's really, really big, like a fucking blue whale, was swimming by as well. That caught the line the first time, and that went away, and then Godzilla ate that, and then Godzilla came back. I think that's probably what happened.
I don't think a blue whale could fit in the East River, could it?
I don't know, but I know in Avengers the blue whales come back to the
yeah,
Hudson.
in the Hudson. They're back.
They're similar-ish rivers, right? Like, also, who the fuck fishes in the East River? That's
a great question.
I mean,
especially in the 90s.
Yeah.
I don't think the river was
Still.
even clean enough for fish to be alive in there in
Yeah.
the 90s.
It was the butt of many a Seinfeld joke when there was an episode about how dirty the East River is. I can't remember what the bit was, but I remember learning that from Seinfeld, and it's, still more or less true today, but yeah, that guy, I mean, he's crazy for a lot of reasons. I
was just going to say, I fell into the Hudson River in 2009 and had to get a tetanus shot, so...
Yeah, you never recovered.
No, I didn't. I really didn't.
I would say also, I like a world where we never find out about Godzilla, and that guy just goes to his grave thinking he did it. Like, he willed Godzilla
Wait, what?
into existence. The fisherman was like, I'm going to catch the big one, boys. You'll see. And then, like, he destroys
he
New York with
drenched
his
up
wish.
Godzilla from the bottom of the river, and
Exactly.
he's the reason it all happened.
He gets, like, made fun of for the rest of his life, and, like, he's, you know, he can't be tried for anything, but he's the butt of many a late-night joke and stuff, and he's the man who fished Godzilla.
Oh, like the Cubs guy who ruined the
Exactly.
World Series for him. He
Yeah.
becomes that.
He's because he, as far as he knows, he made Godzilla appear. And Godzilla just kind of rampages around. It hits some things with its tail. Nothing, you know, it's not great, but it mostly kind of stays in the lanes of the buildings. Like, it's smaller than the buildings, so it can't just rampage. It has to kind of, you know, walk like it's in a museum or something, and it's guided by little ropes.
It's not 2014 Godzilla
No.
where it just steps on everything.
Yeah, which is weird, I guess, of a Godzilla movie where the Godzilla's just kind of also like following the streets of New York. Although it does disappear a couple of times, which is adorable.
Yes. Into the subway.
Yes,
That is the New York subway is a writer's dream because it can do whatever you need it to.
Yeah.
It is just whatever you need done. It's the New York fucking subway. You need a secret underground base for Peter Parker to find his dad's old laboratory. New York subway.
I will say, as a New Yorker, had Godzilla retreated into the actual New York subway tunnels, absolutely within a day would have either died of some horrible disease or been devoured alive by rats.
That's a good point.
Would not have made it.
Well, the Godzilla little or like adult Godzilla, when it goes down into, there's one bit that really stuck out to me, which I thought was funny, and it just goes to, like, you know, it's a really badly written movie, but it's kind of funny how badly written it is at some points. At one point, the guys like a little bit later, people are searching for Godzilla because they lost it, and they're like in a tunnel, like a pipe, and they've got their little flashlights, and they're like, where is it, Godzilla? Is there a Godzilla in here? And they comes up to a wall in the pipe, and they like shine the light at it. It's a wall, and the guy goes, what's that? And he's like, I guess it's a dead end. And then it turns out that that's Godzilla's eye. It's like, do pipes do that? Just a dead end pipe? Why?
Yeah, I guess this pipe doesn't flow anywhere. I guess we just stick things in here and hope they go away.
Also, this pipe is very squishy at the end.
Yeah.
It's a very squishy pipe at the end here.
I couldn't get over that bit for no reason. It's just like, yeah, I mean, I guess this is the end of the pipe. I don't know what to tell you. Where do you think it goes? And then that is Godzilla's eye, and that's a whole bit. We see a lot of Godzilla eye, but again, for no reason. It's not to humanize Godzilla, really. It's not to be, you know, it's I don't know. It doesn't look very good. Also, apparently,
it's not even for a good sense of scale.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of those, well, wait, if the eye is the size of this pipe, then what is he to a building? It's like one of those weird things. Can he eat a helicopter? Can he not?
Yeah. How about this? So Godzilla shows up, rampages, military sets up. What's its plan? Let's talk about the first Godzilla plan, because it's great. It's the best part of the movie.
Diggins, you want to tackle this one?
So you're talking about when they decide, well, when
they
they're
take
like,
Matthew
oh, we've got
Broderick's advice.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
So they're like, so Ben from Veep is like, oh, we got to seal up the city. We can't let this Godzilla escape. And Matthew Broderick, and frankly, some fairly sensible advice is like, you know, it's not a enemy combatant. It's an animal. It's not deliberately evading you. Why don't we just try and bait it out? And so they decide to bait Godzilla with a plate of tacos. No, it's a gigantic pile of fish.
It's one big pile of fish.
It's 12
That's
dump
a lot
trucks.
of fish.
That's a lot of fish.
12 dump trucks.
I do like that he is the earthworm expert, and in that moment, he gives earthworm advice as if it is not other animal advice, where he's like, well, you know, when we want to trap earthworms, we do this thing where we try to feed them, and then they come to us. And everybody's like, well, I mean, he is the earthworm expert. He must know how to trap an animal. Like, I want to
Earthworms,
say,
those notoriously difficult to capture animals.
yeah, and also, yeah, like, that's sure. That seems like a plan any of you could have come up with. I guess you want to shoot Godzilla, but I don't know. I mean...
And again, nobody at any point has any problem with that.
Yeah, which is nice.
Which, but I mean, for the parts of the movie where they're like, oh, don't you feel bad that Godzilla's dying? I'm like, am I supposed to?
No, yeah.
I'm sorry. I just want to say...
You go.
I just want to know the logistics chains of getting 12 dump trucks of fish. Who did they call?
They just go to that one part of the city, and then you bring it over from there. Yeah, you go to the fish market.
You go to your local fishmonger, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And
12 dump trucks, please. Well,
yeah.
I also think
I'm satisfied.
probably anyone could have figured this out without Earthworm experience, because if you think about it for even a second, literally every single Godzilla attack in the entire movie has been in a place with lots of fish.
Yeah.
That is true.
But also, I was up, and to Diggins' point, but just to clarify, when I said I was happy with what they were doing, and I said that was nice. I think it's nice that Matthew Broderick is like, let's just get a lot of fish and make a trap. And everybody's like, okay, maybe. And they do that. He doesn't get a lot of pushback on that plan.
He doesn't get a lot of pushback on anything. He says things, and everyone's like, yeah, all right. I mean, that sounds about right. Like when he first suggests, like, what if it's a big radioactive lizard? Everyone's like, not like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Right.
They just immediately go, I guess that's what it is. Okay.
Which is unusual for movies of this subgenre created by the director that made this movie.
He's the hunky, handsome genius. That's his whole thing.
Yeah. And speaking of characters and like hunky, handsome ones, there is another character in here that we haven't really talked about who's like army guy.
O'Leary.
Remember him?
O'Malley.
Yeah, I can't remember what his deal is.
He's more prominent like at the very end of the movie. He's helping with like the final beats.
Well, he's helping with the final beat. When do we meet him though? Has he always been there? I
honestly don't remember.
He's just kind of like, he's the guy whenever the military is setting up their Godzilla ambushes, we cut to first to be like, oh, I'm not nervous about this, guys. I think, oh, jeez. Oh, jeez,
Rick, I don't know about this.
Yeah. That's his entire role in the movie, is to be that guy.
Yeah, and yeah, he is important kind of at the end. So they put a big pile of fish. How's that go?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I interrupted Diggins. Yeah, go ahead, Diggins.
It's fine. Well, eventually Matthew Broderick realizes, well, Godzilla's got to smell these fish, right? So they they pop open all the manhole covers in a scene that I actually think looks kind of nice, of like them running through the rain, popping open the manhole covers with the steam blasting out. Then Matthew Broderick pops open one and he starts to hear Godzilla noises. The street splits underneath him, and Godzilla kind of like emerges from the ground. That was kind of cool.
That was nice.
But then we immediately go into the military shows up and they start shooting at Godzilla, and Godzilla runs away. And then all of the characters we actually know anything about just sit on the sidelines while a bunch of characters we've never met before and will never meet again because they all die try to shoot Godzilla. And like, it's not like a normal monster movie where at this point we're framing it around the monster. So we're following the monster and the back and forth of what it's doing, and that becomes our rooting interest in the scene. We're extremely from the perspective of the random military guys we don't care about. So we see very little of the monster. We see very little of like cool fight destruction stuff. And also we're rooted to the perspective of characters we have no reason to care about. So in the end, it's a very boring scene.
Yeah, it is.
But this is the scene with like a high-speed pursuit chase of Godzilla chasing helicopters, which is just amazing. Like, who wrote that down on a script? And was
Godzilla go chase helicopters?
Godzilla chases the helicopters, and it catches them. Like,
Dean Devlin and Roland Emerick wrote it down there.
Yeah, the balls on those guys to go like, and then Godzilla gets the helicopters, and nobody in the room was like, why? They could fly, right? They're helicopters. Can't they just go up when Godzilla's coming? Godzilla can't fly, right? And they're like, well, I mean, but they're not gonna. They're cars. They're pretty much cars. And he chomps all of them, including, like, he loses them in the streets. And, like, by loses them, I don't mean just loses the helicopters, loses everyone. There's a bit where it like goes around a corner and then another corner, and no one knows where Godzilla is at all.
You might as well turn invisible.
Yeah.
And maybe
a little known power of Godzilla is that he is immune to all conventional forms of radar, sonar, any imaging or location like device that you could possibly use. Just completely doesn't work on Godzilla for no reason.
Well, so like a couple of things with this, right? So one, like, if you're gonna have it be Godzilla and be a nuclear thing, be like, oh, it has abilities of other lizards, like it can camouflage like a chameleon or whatever.
We're doing Jurassic World again, DJ.
Okay, fine, do Jurassic World.
It's better
Why
than
not?
This, yeah.
Is it?
Like,
The first one,
yes.
yeah.
I think it is.
It's not very good, but it's better than this.
At least it has Chris Pratt and what's her name being like charismatic and stuff, and like that's fun.
Yeah, it's got that scene where the pterodactyls eat everybody, including that one lady, and we watch her die, and you're like, wait, was she bad? Am I supposed to not like her? She was on her phone, I guess. That's kind of
Nando,
interesting.
she was a woman who was on her phone.
Yeah.
There's no more
that's-
unforgivable crime.
She gets
that is
one
true.
of the most brutal deaths in all of cinema. Grabbed by one pterodactyl, thrown up in the air, and then kind of pulled apart by two others, and then the big giant dinosaur from the water comes and eats her.
It's incredibly brutal, far out of proportion with what a character like that deserved.
Yeah, it's wild. But yeah, so you get what was I going to say? The one other detail about this scene that is interesting that we learn, our characters learn, I guess in this moment, is they start shooting Godzilla with missiles because guns aren't good enough, and they have missiles, so fuck it. Maybe let's see if those do it. What's the problem there, fellas?
Dude, this drove me insane. So, they try and shoot these heat-seeking missiles at Godzilla, the walking nuclear power plant, and when they fire and they go flying off, I think they blow up the Chrysler building, and the colonel's like, what's going on out there? Why won't these missiles hit? Sorry, I think I'm quoting the movie. Sorry, sir, the buildings around him are hotter than Godzilla itself, so the heat signature won't read. The missiles won't work.
Yeah, well, it's that the
buildings.
The Godzilla has cold blood. It's cold-blooded. So missiles.
Oh my god!
He's a nuclear.
Well, I mean, someone read the word cold and was like, I think I know what this means. I know how lizards work.
Even without the typical like Godzilla thing of being a nuclear furnace, let's like take this movie at its premise that it's actually just a big lizard.
Yeah.
The thing about being cold-blooded is that cold-blooded animals seem as warm as mammals when they're active. When they're running around and doing things, their bodies are warm. Being cold-blooded means that you don't have an internal source of body heat, so when you aren't doing anything, you are cold.
Yep.
A big lizard that is trampling all over New York City would be as hot as any mammal.
And then, like, if no one's in the Chrysler building, how warm is it?
That's what I'm saying.
Evacuate the city, but leave the heat on in case we need to get back real quick. Like, it's going to be pretty chilly.
Later we do find out later that apparently we have just left all the power on in all of these landmarks, and you just got to flip a big switch.
That's true. Yeah, and the Godzilla, this happens here, and this another thing like this happens later. Well, I guess things like this happen from this scene on. People shoot missiles at Godzilla, and Godzilla just ducks out, sometimes on purpose, sometimes just kind of, it's not a great shot, and Godzilla is moving, and they manage to just absolutely destroy the Chrysler building, which is pretty funny.
Oh, God. It's such a stupid...
They also start, like, the first time they fire stuff at Godzilla, they blow up the Flatiron.
Yes! Oh, I forgot about that, because they, like, it eats the fish, and then they, like, flip the lights, and they're like, get him! And, yeah, they all miss at once.
Yep, and then it knocks over the statue of John Seward in Madison Square Park, which almost crushes Matthew Broderick.
Yep.
Just gotta destroy as many landmarks as possible.
I'm saying, this is all Roland Emerick lives for. He, he's just trying to, like, it's crazy. What's so crazy is how much he fucked up a Godzilla movie. Like, this should be the stars aligning. You get the guy that made Independence Day and this monster thing, and you put them together, and it's like, well, some directors maybe wouldn't go all the way with it, and they'd have a Godzilla that's, like, really nice and friendly or something like that. But we want the one guy who's going to make Godzilla blow up all the buildings, and everything else is just going to be as good as it is in Independence Day. And they just didn't do it. And apparently, they had a director on, I don't know who it was, I didn't recognize the name when I read it, who loved Godzilla and left the project, and then Roland Emerick came on, and he has said since then that he should not have done this movie. He was not the right person for it, but he did it anyway. And I think at the time he knew that. I think he knew, the interviews, I think he says, yeah, I wasn't really convinced it was good for me, but they were like, do a Godzilla, and I was like, okay. But yeah,
There's a weird thing going on in that time period where if you were making an adaptation, it was considered like a badge of honor if you had no familiarity with the source material.
Yeah.
Like the Tim Burton Batman movies, they turned out pretty good. They are good movies. But they still, at the time, Tim Burton was like, I've never read a Batman comic. They're for nerds. I'm going to make my own Batman movie. And that was yeah, that's a good thing. And I'm like, it's good to bring a new spin on it, but I don't think you need to show active disdain for the property.
Oh, same with X-Men. What's his name? Bryan Singer, the biggest jerk in all Hollywood for a million reasons, but also he was like, we're going to make it real and cool, and they're going to wear leather costumes because that's what's popular in the Matrix now. But also, no one gets to read any comics. I don't want anybody looking up what their guy looks like. And Kevin Feige heroically had to tell everybody what the actual stuff was because he was a producer in the movie and give comic books to people under their doors into their dressing room so that they could, figure out what a Wolverine is. And it's so strange. I guess it's worse with Godzilla because it's a movie. Just do the movie again. Pick the one you like and do that, and then you got it. At least I don't know. It's really.
Yeah, I mean. There are Godzilla movies that are about the people dealing with Godzilla, and there's not another monster that he fights. You can look at those to see what they've done before in this field, if that's what you want to do.
Right, but apparently this movie had been sitting in development hell for a while, and I think that's what Roland Emerick. I forget. I've had trouble finding things on this trivia page, but I think that's what Roland Emerick said was I didn't really want to do it, but they had the rights, and I was like. I guess I'll do it. It's something that the studio really wants. But okay, so they lose Godzilla. Now we have the water fight with Godzilla, which is also pretty stupid.
Water fight. Why am I blanking on
That's
that
much
one?
later. That's
much
later. But that's right after. Later they have their second one after they let Matthew Broderick go.
Which one's the second one?
It starts in Central Park and then it ends up in the water.
Oh, yeah. Isn't that the water fight?
Yeah, I'm saying that's later, because first we have the fallout of them failing to kill Godzilla here. This is when he meets up with his ex-girlfriend.
Oh, sure.
She takes the stuff. Oh my god.
Yeah, let's do this.
Let's talk about this.
Yep.
This is
we
weird.
gotta talk about this.
Yeah.
He takes some samples. Apparently, he found some piss samples. Blood and piss samples.
It was just okay, sure.
Mm-hmm. Well,
how would he
it
know?
Might just be blood samples, but later he's swirling
samples.
around a beaker full of yellow liquid that he is pouring on a pregnancy test. So I thought he also had some piss, but maybe not.
I don't know.
I think he might go
maybe
get
it's just
the
blood.
piss afterwards because
maybe.
I can't remember.
Well, whatever bodily fluid it is, it's not that important. So he buys a bunch of over-the-counter pregnancy tests meant for humans.
Yeah, $40
who are mammals.
Well, he asks for a very specific pregnancy test. He's like, "Do you have a pregnancy test that could test for droxymosphosphine trombosomes?" And the lady's like, "Bro, I have these. Pick what you want." And he's like, "I'll take them all."
Yeah.
Well, she doesn't even seem annoyed. She's just like, "Well, these are what I have." And he's like, "Great, perfect. That's exactly what I need." He doesn't seem annoyed by it at all. Everyone seems weirdly okay with this transaction on both sides. But so he tests with the Godzilla blood he collected, and with this human mammal pregnancy test is able to tell that Godzilla is pregnant.
Oh, it's a mommy.
So a pregnancy tests for certain hormones, but it also, lizards don't get pregnant. They lay eggs. The eggs get fertilized and then they lay them, and then the pregnancy is outside with the eggs. That's how it works.
Also, I love that he's the worm guy, right?
Yep.
And then I forget he's presenting whatever his thesis that Godzilla's pregnant, and he's like, "Well, it's possible that Godzilla reproduces asexually," and it's like, "Bruh, that's not how that works." I get that you're the worm guy, and worms do that, but like that's not how fucking lizards work. You fucking animal.
Yeah, just
I mean, there are certain lizards that can do weird sex stuff for reproduction, but that's more about like,
but not like
hermaphroditism.
Yeah,
not
I
like
think
full asexual reproduction.
Well, Dean Devlin saw Jurassic Park and heard that that's part of it, and he was like, "All right, I guess lizards do the life finds a way thing. We'll have that be the thing."
Well, the lizards in Jurassic Park, while that is still like goofy science and like not really how it will work, they at least get the basic of it right,
Yeah.
which is that in mismatched gender populations, certain reptiles or amphibians can like spontaneously change gender so that they are better. There's a better balance for species survivability, which is what they do in Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
In this, it's like, hey, you know the big giant lizard monster guy? He laid some eggs, and they're eggs that don't require fertilization. They're just like eggs that are ready to hatch, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, you'd think by this point in the whole story, there would also be a lizard expert in the room that would go like, "I get it, but no, I'll explain this all to you afterwards." But he's not right.
Lizards aren't worms.
Let's move on with Godzilla plans, okay?
I think it's been like it's implied in the start of the movie, and I think it has been confirmed outside in outside materials since. But this Godzilla is specifically a mutated iguana, and I don't think iguanas can do anything like that. I'm pretty sure iguanas are strictly like male-female fertilization.
Well, Diggins, what you fail to understand is that when lizards go through a lot of radioactive stuff and they become giant Godzilla monsters, then they gain the ability to lay pre-fertilized eggs, which just become fertilized in the womb or whatever. So it's like good to go, man. Godzilla can make Godzilla forever.
I mean, we should have 1 billion Godzillas on this planet by the end of this, right? Like, how long does it take it to make the eggs? Like a day?
Well, Nando, I mean, we'll talk about this at the very end, but, all of these events take, a couple hours.
Yeah.
But at the end, might be some problems.
Yeah.
I think even he says, like, if we don't stop this now, it could be 40,000 by the end of, I don't know, something. But, like,
I think they said by the end of the year.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I know that these little guys are terrifying when they finally pop up, which we'll talk about, but, like, I don't know. No one ever had a shotgun.
Yeah, they're only terrifying if they surprise you. Like, if the military went there, they would kill them all. But I'm sure fuck it up.
Godzilla is susceptible to, like, small-scale ordnance.
Yeah.
Yes,
so I feel like baby Godzillas are probably susceptible to, larger caliber firearms.
I mean, there's one of them that gets, like, crushed by a chandelier or something. Like, they go the baby Godzillas that go down or, like, get hit and kind of stop, they, get hit by what you'd expect would also stop, like a lion or something. So
yeah,
it's
a little inconsistent.
A solvable problem.
Sometimes they're able to like burst through sealed steel doors, and sometimes they can't even open a steel door.
Yeah,
like there's no resistance; they just can't open it. They can't figure it out.
Yeah, this movie really didn't understand Jurassic Park. Like it saw what happened, but it didn't really get it. Which, that happens all the time in Hollywood.
The idea of, like, riding some kind of just vague dinosaur hype for a disaster movie, because that's the thing, this could have been anything. Like, whatever the disaster is, it could have been King Kong. Like, it could have been King Kong, who made a bunch of baby King Kongs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
Apes are famously able to reproduce asexually, so King Kong could have done the same thing.
The pregnancy test would make sense.
Right?
Also, if you want to do your different thing, like a new take on Godzilla that's more realistic, it's actually more just like a big animal. I think, genuinely, there's actually two of them and one stays by the nest would have been a really good twist.
Yeah.
Yes, that actually would have been cool, right?
But
And then that could also explain, like, maybe you like have like you're having it pop up in different places, or you're tracking one and then it shows up somewhere else, and you're
Yeah.
like, wait, how is it in two places at once? And then you figure out that there's actually two of them and they're having kids, and then that's like a big reveal that, you know, makes the problem a lot worse. And that might have actually worked instead
Like
of
that
just
Meg
this
movie.
Godzilla.
Yes, I was gonna say you wanted to have him do a Meg.
I never saw the Meg. I didn't know they did that in the Meg.
Not exactly
there's-
that, but there's one Meg, and then
Kinda.
they're like, the Meg's popping up everywhere, kind of, and then also they're like, this Meg isn't as big as the bites on this other thing. And then, like, right as they say that, another Meg jumps out of the water and eats that Meg. So it's not exactly the same kind of thing, but it could be. Just the idea that there is two instead of one thing, like, you take for granted in a movie like The Meg that there could be 50 Megs. Who cares? Like,
It also, in this movie, would have made the ending make way more sense if there were two Godzillas, because then it's not just like, oh my god, there's another Godzilla. Wait, didn't we kill that one? I can't keep track.
I feel like as a kid, when I'm not really listening to the dialogue, I kind of thought that's what it was.
yeah,
I thought there were two Godzillas, and that's why another Godzilla shows up at the end.
but yeah, that's
Like,
not what it is.
I have
It's very
vague
stupid.
memories of thinking that's what happened.
Yeah, I mean, at that point in the movie, I guess you're kind of like, you checked out. Everybody in that theater is kind of out of it. And you're just like, oh, it's Godzilla. Cool. Let's see it chew up some more stuff and chase the guys, and then the movie's over. But, like, you know, like an hour and 45 minutes into the movie when they kill everything and, like, do the Madison Square Garden bit, which we'll touch on, like, next.
Oh,
but, like,
God.
yeah, there's so much of this movie. I do want to say they managed to shoot Godzilla at one point, which is fun, with, like, torpedoes.
Yeah, they don't use heat-seeking missiles. They use regular old, good old-fashioned retro missiles.
But so, okay, this scene really confused me the first time, like, seeing it just now, and I had to watch it again just to figure out what was going on. So there's two submarines, right? Mm-hmm. There's one
There's
submarine.
three.
Oh, okay, yeah. There's multiple submarines. That makes sense. One submarine shoots its missiles at Godzilla, right? And Godzilla, in that instance, is in front of one of the other submarines. And they're like, this is going to hit Godzilla. It's looking real good. And then, like always, at the last minute, Godzilla kind of swerves out of the way, and those missiles hit that submarine. That's like a bit in this movie, right?
I think so.
Yeah, it's not really made clear if Godzilla does that on purpose or if it's just a coincidence.
But
Is it smart enough to know?
So when that happens, you've got, like, guys at Command Center that are like, fire submarine missiles at Godzilla. And then they do that, and they track the missiles and Godzilla and the other submarine on, like, a little computer. And at the very end, like, Godzilla, you know, jerks out of the way. And then there's, like, a second of clarification where the other guys are like, uh-oh. It was the missiles were actually going to hit the other, like, you're firing a fucking missiles at your own guys. You should know that the whole time. There's only one submarine and a Godzilla and another submarine. Like, how is this a surprise? It's a risk, I guess, but it's like, it takes everybody, people in the other submarine, the first submarine, and everybody at Mission Control is like, it's a complete shock to them. I found that part very strange. But yeah, they do manage to hit the Godzilla, and yay!
The Godzilla seems to die.
Yeah,
We did it. We won.
we did it. And in an hour and a half of a movie, that makes sense.
Yep, now we can wrap up this movie. It's been an hour and a half. You know, maybe we do a quick journey to the nest to find the eggs, but that's about it. But can we go back for a second, because I realized we've actually skipped over the scene with the worst acting from Matthew Broderick in the entire movie.
Oh, which one
Which one is it? Because I thought it was the one that I was quoting a couple times where he's like, it's an island surrounded by water. That one just was where my head exploded. But what do you got?
That is bad. But no, in my opinion, the worst one is the scene where they fire him for leaking state secrets. Because the news report comes on and they're like showing the footage and saying all the stuff that he's saying, and everyone in the room is looking at him mad, like, you leaked state secrets? And his reaction to this accusation is to be like, What? No. No. I didn't do that. I didn't show it to anybody. I didn't show those videos to anybody except... Oh no, did she do that? Like, it's not just the totally wooden surprise. It's the moment of realization where he figures out what happens. It causes no change to his face or affect whatsoever. He just keeps saying his lines in the same tone. It's so bizarre.
Yeah, it's almost like this movie is, it's almost like if they took a... You know what? Honestly, a lot of this movie works if this is a Japanese Godzilla movie made in Japan and then just dubbed over with other actors doing other lines and other accents and completely different characters, but also just like trying to make some lines work. So that's why that guy's French. And that's why this guy doesn't emote very much, and like it doesn't kind of match the performance. He's just kind of, you know, going through the motions. But yeah, that scene is really bad. And we also didn't talk, I mean, it's not that important, but whatever her name is, Audrey works for a guy who is like a creepy guy, right? And she's got integrity and stuff. Who is Kent Brockman?
He's Harry Shearer, and he's just Kent Brockman.
And that's like kind of how we're introduced to her a little bit. He's like, I'll take you to dinner. And she's like, you have a wife. And he's like, I don't, whatever. And then
that's why I said your place.
Yeah, that's right. That's what that line was.
I don't think that's what he says, but that's the basic vibe of it.
Yeah, it's something like that. And yeah, it's weird. So by this point, all of our main characters have met, and they have made discoveries about God. Actually, no, they haven't all met yet. They're gonna meet soon. I think at this point, Broderick meets John Reno for the first time.
Yeah, this is when he gets recruited by the French Secret Service.
Yep.
To join their plan to do the same thing the Americans want to do, but this time but now you're working with a different military service because that other one fired you.
And then at the same time, what is his name? Animal, the videographer, and Audrey also go to Madison Square Garden, right? They don't go together, or do they?
No, the two of them go together. The two of them don't go together with Matthew Broderick and the French Secret Service, but it's because Animal, Hank Azaria, saw Audrey and Nick, who is Matthew Broderick's character, fighting. And so he was like following Nick in his taxi because he wanted to talk to him and be like, hey, she cares about you, you dummy.
Right.
But because he is doing that, he sees Matthew Broderick getting recruited by the French and like overhears their conversation. So he's like, hey, Audrey, let's go follow him and see the nest and get footage of it and everything so you can prove that he was right and, you know, make it up to him or something. I don't know, bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah, and is this the scene? When do they go to his house?
That's here. It's after he gets back from spying on them.
Love that scene.
Because she's staying with him and his wife.
Right.
So he goes there to tell her the plan and convince her to come with him.
It's a big mess, which was cute. Kids running around all over the place. But yeah, they go down, and what do their wandering eyes does appear to our heroes in Madison Square Garden?
Why, it's Godzilla eggs.
Oh,
so many.
So many. He said, I think Matthew Broderick at one point.
200.
Yeah, there's a line where Matthew Broderick is like, Godzilla's, like as if he knows. Well, Godzilla's can lay 12 whole eggs. It's amazing.
Because apparently he is also a herpetologist.
Yeah.
He's like, based on, you know, the lizards that we know of, Godzilla could have laid anywhere up to 12 eggs because that's like the maximum that lizards will lay, which might be true. I have no idea. I'm not a herpetologist.
Fucking don't put a maximum on it. Just be like, probably 12 eggs, but I don't know. We haven't met a Godzilla before. We've been wrong about everything when it comes to this lizard. It could probably lay 1,000,000 eggs. Maybe they're the size of ping pong balls. Who knows?
And it turns out that this asexually reproducing giant lizard, which probably has a difficult enough time finding enough food to feed itself, it's so big.
Yeah, it's huge.
Lays over 200 eggs that cover the entirety of Madison Square Garden Stadium.
They're huge eggs.
Which
they're ginormous.
They're bigger than people. They're like 9 feet tall.
Yeah. Yeah, and you'd assume since they're eggs, that's the size that they are when they come out of the Godzilla. You know, it's not like an egg grows up. So, yeah, Godzilla had all that inside of it. That's crazy. But also, yeah,
yeah,
it snuck into Madison Square Garden a
and laid all
while
those
ago.
eggs, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't do that this afternoon. Like, you have to assume there were people around.
Unless Nando, during all this chaos after it attacks the pier and all this stuff, it just went into Madison Square Garden and just shit out 200 eggs.
Oh my God.
Just like...
And like, I would, can you imagine a scene where like it eats the Knicks or something? That would be fun. Yeah, Godzilla
I'm gonna say,
if it had eaten that dang old James Dolan, then they would have been better off, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's crazy is that in 1998, the Knicks were actually good, and it might have actually been pre-Dolan.
Who's that? Who's that on the team then? Like Patrick Ewing or?
Yeah, Patrick Ewing.
That's true.
From Space Jam?
The very same,
From
the purple
Space
one.
Jam.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, they go down there and it's like lots of Godzilla eggs, and then everybody meets up and they run away from the Godzillas. There's also army people at this point, I think, too, right? There's people that have to get killed by the Godzillas. People. Yeah. Oh yeah. Right.
It's just they're dressed up like soldiers now because that's how they sneak into Manhattan. They pretend to be American soldiers.
Right.
And this is when Philippe Roche does his Elvis impression, which was the basis of that whole bit we did earlier.
Sure, it was. Yeah, no, it was cute. I like that. I think he's a good. I don't know. I think he's a good fit for this movie. Weirdly, I think Jean Reno is funny in all the right ways. I just don't understand why he's there at all. Like he doesn't make sense in the movie, but he works in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially when he's like a secret agent, kind of later, like. Not like he's not a secret agent, but when he's like, you know, doing cool stuff and like blow. At one point, I forget if he cuts it down or like breaks the chandelier, so that falls, and then the little dinosaurs like run away a little bit, and they're able to escape. And the girlfriend, I think, is like, "Who is that guy?" And Matthew Broderick's like, "He's an insurance contractor or something," because that's what they keep telling people. So
he's the only person in these Jurassic Park scenes who like does things that have a modicum of like, oh, that's kind of clever.
Yeah, so that's fun.
What's the one part like they're trying to sneak into Madison Square Garden and they're in like the Humvee and Matthew Broderick's like, "Why are you chewing gum?" It's like makes us look more American.
Yeah,
I'm like, is that a thing? Do Americans like chew a lot of gum?
I mean,
like,
I'm not. You know, how we barely would notice. We chew so much gum, it's second nature to us as Americans.
Yeah.
I forget you're
I'm
even
constantly
chewing it.
I'm constantly chewing at all times.
Exactly.
I'm
chewing
chewing
right
now.
Yeah. Also, so they find the Godzillas, and then they're like, well, we have to tell the people about the Godzilla babies we have, but they won't let us. It's hard. So what they end up doing...
All the phone circuits are busy.
Yeah.
We can't possibly use phones.
So
Not even our big, chunky, bad cell phones we had in 1998.
Hank Azaria's guy is like, I got an idea, because I love the Knicks. So they figure out that they can like send the broadcast signal from the garden to their producers and be like, quick, show this news to everybody, and we'll do a news report. And they have to convince this guy to show it for a couple. Like, there's a little bit of a push and pull there, and it's pretty funny to me how much, just how casually people take Godzilla in this world. But they end up showing it, and then they escape, and then we get rid of Madison Square Garden, and it's all good, guys.
Mm-hmm.
I know
that blows up Madison Square Garden.
That was my favorite part of the movie, and where I thought it was originally going to end before Diggins had mentioned, oh my god, there's 40 minutes left in this movie. But I was like, oh my god, blowing up Madison Square Garden is the perfect end to this movie.
Yeah.
It's just hilarious, and I was so down for it.
By the way, we blew through that very quickly, but guys, there was like 20 minutes of, as Nando said earlier, there was like 20 minutes of them trying to do the Velociraptor scene with the kids.
It's
so stupid. Park. It's
but
awful.
It's all bad. It's all bad because there's no like real tension to any of it. It's just
or stakes.
Either
it feels like
yeah. It's either the monsters are right there, like banging at the door or chasing you, or you are completely safe for the moment. There's no tension. There's no hunt to it, which was the whole crux of that scene, is the kids hiding from the velociraptors as the velociraptors are like hunting them and displaying cleverness.
Yeah,
that's what makes that scene so iconic. This is just, there are big monsters. You better get away from the big monsters. And like, that's it. There's no push and pull to the scene. It's just either you're being chased by a big monster or you're not.
Yeah. It's
basically Scooby-Doo.
And it doesn't do anything all that interesting with Madison Square Garden either. Like, I could see a scene like this working a little bit better in, the Museum of Natural History or something like that, where room to room, the environment gives you something fun to do, or like the Met, I guess, would be the other one. Also, now that we're mentioning it, so most of the things that Godzilla destroys up until now are really close to each other,
Yeah, it's all Midtown.
Yeah, Chrysler Building, Madison Square Garden, we said Flatiron Building, the park. What was the park, Diggins?
Madison Square Park, which is directly across from the Flatiron.
Yeah, so like, I know New York would really be bummed about all this Godzilla business, but this is a very isolated Godzilla-ing.
You're probably talking like a 2 mile square block.
Yeah, you could probably cut off.
The Upper West Side was like really, there was a lot of crime going on back then. Godzilla didn't want to mess around with that neighborhood.
Well, that's what I'm saying. True. Like, you could you make a line right around like 90th Street or whatever, and that could just be normal. And then down beyond 90th, we have the Godzilla emergency. But yeah, we don't really have to do too much. This doesn't have to ruin everyone's day. Godzilla just...
Don't evacuate the whole island.
Yeah, Godzilla wants to hit all the tourist locations within, 10, 20 blocks of Times Square, and then he'll go, or she'll go, or whatever. It's not a big...
They actually continue to use male pronouns after determining that. It's kind of...
It's weird, but it's... So apparently that's also a big point of contention among Godzilla fans. Is the gender of Godzilla movie to movie and stuff? Because if you call it a she, they'll be like, actually, it's a he, and it just it's awful. But yeah, it has lots of babies. Whatever. But then the movie ends again for another 20 minutes with a high speed taxi chase.
Right.
It's insane. I can't even get into let me see if I could summarize this and how insane this is. At one point, Godzilla, they're fleeing in a taxi cab, and Godzilla is about to eat them. But Godzilla picked up like a piece of road with the taxi, and there's also power lines. So Matthew Broderick just grabs a power line with his bare hand.
Well, not totally the sparky part, just the power line part, DJ.
Right. Yeah, everyone knows that the non-sparky parts are fine.
Oh my God.
Takes that and puts the sparky part, the dangerous part, right up in Godzilla's tooth. Then Godzilla's like, oh no, it just spits him out.
Yeah, it spits him out and they go, wee, and they just drive away. There's also
they drive away straight out of Godzilla's mouth.
And there's a couple bits where like this car is... So it's insane. It takes some jumps and gets some air and the everything kind of slows down, and I'm like, it's gonna flip. I can see what's happening to this car. And I know how gravity works. They're all gonna die this time. But then it just doesn't. Almost like how in some video like Crackdown, you can get better at steering the car midair. You know what I mean?
Yes,
they kind of figure that out with this taxi cab thing. And there's a whole running plot or objective of they have to tell the military where they are, so they give the military the information about the taxi cab, so the military guys can call the cab.
Right.
And
so
Matthew
Broderick happens to know that if you have the identification number for a cab, you can look up its radio frequency. Not only knows that, but knows that the random military guy that he has never spoken to, that he throws this to, will also know that, and know that by throwing this to him, what he means is, go look up the radio frequency for this cab and then radio me so we can talk.
Right? And he takes the like that plate with all of that information off of the cab.
Wait. Also, the whole the whole basis of this scene, by the way, is that Godzilla popped up at Madison Square Garden after everything blowed up and sees these 4 humans and just apparently is intelligent enough to have the thought, these 4 humans killed my children. I'm going to kill them.
Yep. Yeah,
because it focuses on nothing but them for the rest of the movie. It actually wants vengeance for the death of its children,
right?
Because I guess it is enough of not just an animal to have those kinds of emotions.
And it's not like they're covered in Godzilla goo or something, and it's like smelling them. It is like it saw them and is like, oh no, that must have been them.
They were there, guys. Who else could have killed all those babies?
Yeah, well, she should be really worried then, or Godzilla should be really worried because they killed all those babies by making them explode. So, they could probably do that to Godzilla unless they can't. But I was going to say, he does this, Matthew Broderick does this bit where he, resourcefully takes the taxi, information plate thingy that hangs over the driver's side seat and throws it out at or passenger seat or whatever, throws it out to his guys. And I'm thinking on the back of it will be written the word Brooklyn Bridge or something, but it's not. And
I assumed he threw a message to them. Yeah.
I'd be like, uh-oh, I must have got the wrong one. Where is the real one? Because this can't be the message, but that is the message. Because I feel like by that point they haven't even figured out the Brooklyn Bridge thing. They have to come up with that while they're on the radio call with them.
Right,
because they're kind of aimlessly driving around New York at this point.
Just trying to lose Godzilla, basically.
Yeah.
It's weird with the license plate thing. So I had a feeling that was about, being able to track the cab in real time.
Yeah.
But I couldn't figure out until they said, I'm like, well, there's no GPS. What are they? Is there a chip in the thing, or is it like a I couldn't figure out how there would be the real time tracking. I'm like, oh, the radio thing. Which when the lieutenant or whoever, he's one of his guys is like, what are you doing? It's like, as everyone knows, every single cab dispatcher keeps the radio frequency for every single cab in New York City. Everyone knows this.
Luckily, there was an office for this specific cab company right nearby.
Yeah, it was pretty close. In Midtown, I guess, I would assume.
Well, he just made it seem that, every single cab dispatcher had every single cab radios. Just for the entire city.
It's so funny to me. This movie is about Godzilla, but it's not. It's about, this, a T-Rex, but bigger. And it's in New York City. And New York City, while empty, I would assume, I've, been in, Times Square in pandemic times. But from what I've heard, it's it's big streets that usually have cars, but don't. If you go straight and Godzilla is following you and another person is standing on the street, they should be able to see Godzilla the whole time. It should be so easy to track Godzilla and just know where it is. And it's just, it's not like it's not like it's in the woods or something. It's in a grid. It's so easy to find stuff in New York City.
All these fucking helicopters just fly up.
Yeah.
If you fly up and get a bird's eye view, you'll see fucking Godzilla. It's how they do traffic, motherfucker.
Right.
What?
Yeah,
oh my God.
It's so stupid. But yeah, it's really weird. So they're driving around. I think we've said it a couple times. How do they stop Godzilla eventually?
Well, we gotta destroy another New York landmark, Nando.
Yeah.
So, I think, what is it, Matthew Broderick goes, where's the nearest suspension bridge? And they're like, the Brooklyn Bridge. Ah, perfect.
Yep.
And it's not even clever how they do it. They just drive onto the Brooklyn Bridge with Godzilla following them, and I believe he just gets tangled up in the suspension cables.
Yeah.
They don't do anything.
Yeah, it's just the process of chasing them through. He, breaks down the, stone things that the suspension cables are connected to. I know how to talk. And that gets Godzilla tangled up in the cables themselves.
Yeah.
Good enough, I guess.
It's one step above the box that the Chihuahua had as its plan. It's just a little bit more clever than that. And it is a really funny line, where's the nearest suspension bridge? I'd be like, dude, this is fucking Jeopardy? I don't know. What do you mean?
Don't forget-
Why?
During the chase, the hilarious Seinfeld bit of Audrey and Animal
God.
arguing over the best directions
yeah.
to take
Yeah,
to like
I-
go places.
Take the
Because
West
that's
Side
what New
Highway.
Yorkers do. They argue
they
about the
do.
directions because all New Yorkers definitely drive in New York City, not the insane feat of a madman.
Yeah. It's not even easy when there's no cars because of a Godzilla. It's still pretty tough. Also, like, this Godzilla, it's so fast. They're in a car. Like, how is Godzilla getting them? Like, there's so many. I mean, I think the suspension bridge as a plan isn't terrible. Like, it works. And, you know, sure. But, like, there's so many other things you can drive in and under and, like, get around that, you know, I don't know. It just...
Well, I had thought with the suspension bridge thing, there would at least be more coordination with the military, so that frequency thing would have a bigger payoff than just like, all right, fire them now.
Yeah.
Because, like, I'm like, oh, so they'll get them on the bridge, and then they'll have, I don't know, some of the planes, like, shoot some of the cables or, like, travel. I don't know. I thought it would have been a little more intricate, because, like, what if it didn't work? What if Godzilla just ran across the bridge, and it's like, oh, fuck.
Now it's in Brooklyn.
That's
Slightly shorter buildings, I guess. Like,
No, that's true.
it's funny because
You won't lose them.
they send it if that is the plan, and that doesn't work. They put it on another island as opposed to just having it follow it into like New Jersey or something. Like, it has even more opportunities to escape. Brooklyn, much like Manhattan, is an island completely surrounded by water. It's the perfect place for Godzilla to hide.
With tall buildings, but not
yeah.
as tall.
Not as tall, but still taller than Godzilla. And, you know,
Oh,
Godzilla's
my
only
God.
about as tall as the buildings. Just no landmarks, so what's the point? You know, there's no Chrysler building in Brooklyn. Why would Godzilla even go? I mean, I guess it could go to the Barclays Center and just try the baby thing again. Oh, God. So yeah,
movie sucks,
what's
man.
the end of the movie? I guess everybody like hugs, and then it turns out John Reno stole the footage. Which, like, who gives a shit, dude?
Yeah,
The Godzilla
what everyone
thing
saw.
happened. Yeah.
What are...
Yeah,
It's
what
gonna
is he
be on
even
every
trying
news.
to cover up at this point?
I
Like,
guess
it's not
Yeah,
like
just
it's
him.
not like they went down to Madison Square Garden. They were expecting the eggs, and Matthew Broderick's like looking at one of the eggs, and then suddenly gasps and printed on the egg it says "Made in France."
yeah. Well, oh man, and then fuck, I forgot about that. But yeah, at the end, they all hug, and like the redheaded one from before kisses another guy, and that's a thing. And then the
Kisses the guy who was jealous that she thought Matthew Broderick was cute, and then he didn't show up again, basically, for the rest of the movie until now.
And then Siskel tells Ebert, thumbs down.
Oh,
I
I
want to
hated
leave.
that.
Oh no!
Yeah. And he's like, I'm the mayor that killed Godzilla. I could definitely get reelected. And I'm like, yeah, you probably can. I don't think this is going to be
honestly,
difficult
like-
for you.
I mean, look how long Rudy Giuliani
Yeah.
ate out on 9/11. I mean,
Exactly. And like with the Godzilla thing, you really could be like, I tried. They just came and shot everything. I was the one that was like, don't shoot the Chrysler building, and they did it. So I don't know what you want from me. I did a pretty good job.
Yeah, if you think about it, the Godzilla thing is just a tragedy from the perspective of, besides lives lost, but like monuments or like nice buildings lost. Like
Yeah.
the landscape
Yeah.
of New York will never be the same.
yeah, he's acting like, well, we got to open up New York right away to get business back. And I'm just thinking, it's going to take a lot of rebuilding before you can do most of the business in New York that was going on pre-Godzilla.
Yeah, but Dickens, the people need to work. We need to open up
Yeah.
New York, even though
Restaurant
Godzilla's
workers have
still
to
here.
serve.
Yeah.
You know, you are right that the context of 2020 really has painted that whole plot in a more realistic light.
Yeah, I mean, I think he can run on that platform too. I think he can run on. I wanted to keep the businesses open, even though there was a Godzilla.
Listen.
Well, I don't think
Valentine-
he would win in New York City, but
That's
there's
true,
plenty
yeah.
of places he could win based on that.
Listen, Valentine's Day is coming up. It's very important that we're allowed to eat inside, even though there's a Godzilla rampaging around. It's very important that people are able to get out for Valentine's Day, despite Godzilla.
Okay, how about this? He won't be mayor of New York. He'll be governor. That's probably how that would work. For him.
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah, you win that election.
Probably.
And he could parlay
Well,
it,
he'd write
too.
a book. He'd write a book about how good he did at handling the Godzilla, even though he was really bad at it.
Well,
even though he is still actively screwing it up at that time.
Yeah, I was going to say,
like, he
he'd
writes
write
the
it
book
between-
during the Godzilla crisis.
Yeah. Tough decisions at Godzilla explosions. My lessons learned.
He'd also get his brother to put him on a big television network
Oh
to
my
talk about
God.
Godzilla and how good he was at defeating Godzilla.
Yeah.
But we'd all love the brothers because they'd be like snipping back at each other, and we'd be like, "Oh man, they're relatable, just like real brothers."
Pretty much. And then, he'd, have a really fun heel turn late in the game and do all kinds of dumb bullshit.
Yeah, we have to feel bad because the brother got Godzilla.
That's
so,
true, yeah,
we'd have
Godzilla
to be
got
like
him.
really.
But then, we
Oh,
got to open up
gosh.
the school skies, but also not give the teachers the vaccines. I mean, what are you crazy?
No,
What are you-
Nando, we're talking about Godzilla.
What are you, a
what
gabagool?
vaccine?
A
Yeah,
Godzilla
the
vaccine.
What are you
The
talking
Godzilla
about? This is
vaccine.
Yeah, the
Godzilla.
Godzilla vaccine. Come on, DJ. What are you you're a real paisan over here. I don't know.
Oh, man.
Hey!
I forget what
I would just like to
Italians
say,
funny things.
like, if I could get one final thing from my perspective of this movie, the amount of New York campiness played up in this movie was just like a masterclass. Like, it's amazing that no one said, "Hey, I'm walking here," but like that's basically the whole movie, at least for Animal's character. But like also a lot of the background characters and like
Oh
the
my
one
God.
girlfriend who's like Animal's wife. Like it's all just like, "Hey, gabagool, spaghetti and meatballs."
It's like the
Oh yeah,
movie
every character in this movie who wasn't in the military or a main character was just that character.
It's like the movie was written by someone who had never been to or seen New York, but they'd been to the hotel in Las Vegas that's New York themed,
Yes.
and they kind of based it on that. And they mostly got it.
Yeah, I give him a 7 out of 10 on that part.
Yeah, it kind of looked like New York. And then the end, there's a finale. There's an epilogue, guys, for the sequel. Which,
What would today be a post-credit scene?
yeah, and
Yes.
it's just that there's another in the locker room, I think.
They missed an egg.
There's another egg. And did you guys know that they actually did this? They've managed to follow up on this.
Oh,
In
really?
the animated series.
Yeah, on the
yes.
cartoon, the canonical cartoon, where Matthew Broderick finds a baby Godzilla that imprints on him, and he is one with the Godzilla, and like that's a whole show.
Yeah, they made an animated series sequel. They were going to make a trilogy of movies, but this movie didn't do bad at the box office, but it didn't do as good as they wanted, so they decided not to continue with it. Also, everyone hated it, so that probably factored in. Like, if everyone hated it, but it made a ton of money, they definitely would have made a sequel. But a movie that does okay and everyone hates, I think probably you'll fall down on, we're not going to do more of these.
Yeah, I think you
cut
can
your
do. I
losses.
think what you could have done is make one really good movie or one pretty good movie make a lot of money, and then make 10 bad movies, and it doesn't matter as long as that first one was good. You do whatever you want. I mean, there's an end. Eventually, it has to dip up, like with a Bumblebee. But as long as the original one works and makes money, then yeah, the sky's the limit.
Right, but then because the movies didn't pan out, they basically took some of the ideas and made a animated show, kind of like the Men in Black cartoon.
A
which,
lot,
if you
probably
recall,
the same
And the
animation
Ghostbusters
house, right?
cartoon.
It looks similar.
Probably the same studio. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that one, Matthew Broderick's character raises the Godzilla, who matures very quickly, and they are now a government agency that fights other big monsters with the help of their pet Godzilla.
Monarch.
Pretty much, yeah. I don't remember what it's called, but I feel like that's a fine movie. It's crazy we still haven't done that in the live action ones either. I guess we're kind of maybe going to do that in the Godzilla versus Kong.
What, like pet Godzilla?
Yeah, Godzilla on our side.
There's plenty of Godzilla on our side in the Japanese.
Oh yeah, in
Plenty of
Japan
them,
for sure.
Plenty of them go that route.
I think
The Godzilla in the 2014 movie kind of ends up being that, but that's kind of a twist.
Yeah, I feel like with those movies, Godzilla is always it's like Godzilla kind of wants to kill this thing, and we want that thing to die, so let's help Godzilla do it. But I'm talking I want raptors trained for the military, like in Jurassic World, but Godzilla. I'm kind of surprised we haven't made it to that yet in a movie. But I think it's just because I think maybe we'll get there with the Godzilla movie.
Oh
but
yeah, no.
I want Buck Wild
in the Japanese
nonsense.
ones. It's more like this ancient race of fairies can communicate with Mothra, and through them we will ask Mothra for help. It's more along those lines.
I like that better than this. What if that happened? What if at the end, like, you get to this, like, second ending and they're racing around and just some fairies pop up and they're like, guys, you can trap Godzilla in a suspension bridge, and then they disappear. It's like, oh, okay. There's fairies in this.
I'm not going to lie. I was a little disappointed King of the Monsters didn't have the Mothra fairies.
Yeah.
I was a little disappointed.
So, guys, what's final thoughts on Godzilla of 1998?
Final thoughts, it sucks. I would like to give some information on the Godzilla animated series that I think you guys will find interesting.
Sure. I do remember
Alright,
watching this as a child. I don't remember what was in it, but I think this is something I watched. It's probably like one season, right? Or something?
It is 2. Yeah,
oh, wow.
Like 40 episodes total, so pretty good run. Okay, so the Monarch is called HEAT. They are the Humanitarian Environmental Analysis Team. Sure. So 2 things. 1, Kevin Dunn is in the animated series to voice his, like, original character from the movie.
Love that.
So, like, good for Kevin Dunn. And no other voice actors of note, but do you know who voices Animal?
Dan Castanella.
No.
No more.
Robin Williams.
No.
You
guys will never get this.
Nathan Lane.
No.
Matthew Broderick.
No.
Animal, but the one from the Muppets.
It's
Kevin Costner.
right. No. It's Joey Pants. Joey
Oh.
Pantoliano.
Yeah, that's
is
a-
his Animal.
Another New
Like,
York
isn't that
guy.
awesome?
Yeah, I'll take it.
I think that's awesome. So, yeah. Those are my contributions.
Like, it's so crazy that not all the time you do these movies, but so many times you do these Godzilla movies, we have to follow, like, every single person involved in the Godzilla movie. We have to follow the mayor, and we have to follow the army, and we have to follow the scientists and the reporters. And it's like, pick 3, and it's probably going to be better. Like, they overdo it. It's so much. But, yeah, I mean, it's pretty weird. It's a weird little movie. What about you, Diggins? Any final thoughts?
I mean, I've said most of my beef with this movie throughout. It's bad. It's bad both in terms of not being a particularly good representation of the Godzilla franchise, but also in terms of what it is trying to be. It just does not succeed at that either. So it just ends up being this stew of like baffling decisions that are impossible to see the point of. There's very little redeeming about it.
Yeah, I don't know if it could have made its way, like made its not like made its budget back, but like gotten enough of a popular reception from someone if they just went really heavy on like Godzilla lore and really committed to like, we're going to make the same dumb movie with the same dumb characters, but just hardcore Godzilla fans will at least like this. Maybe it would be like a classic these days, or like, you know, there'd be lots and lots of like, you know, Vox articles like it's a misunderstood classic or whatever. But yeah, this movie is for nobody.
Yeah, I have heard plenty of hot takes of people saying that famously considered bad movies are actually pretty good. I have never heard a Godzilla 1998 was good take from anyone.
Yeah. Okay. Do you guys have anything to recommend to the fine people, DJ?
Yes. So for this week, I would like to recommend another video game. Been playing a lot of these recently. This one was pointed to me by a friend of the show, Alex Lee, and really been enjoying this. It's called For the King. Have either of you guys heard of this?
No.
I have.
Okay, so it's a like role-playing game, adventure style game that's like a dungeon crawler. So like you pick a class, like whatever, rogue, fighter, mage, bard, you know, whatever have you, and you start off with like really low level equipment, and you fight monsters, and you level up, and you get better equipment, and you kind of do that whole cycle to help the king who like just died. I think is like the storyline. It's like the king just died, so you gotta like do this for the glory of the realm, and it's like a campaign style game. Takes like 10 hours to do like one game. But obviously you don't do it in one sitting. You play for like an hour or two or whatever.
That's what you think,
back
DJ.
To it.
It's going to be 10 hours.
Maybe a scrub like you.
Fair enough. And it's fun. I will say a limiting factor is it's only 3 people. So like, but you could like play multiple people. So if you only have 2, you could either like have it be an AI or just have one person control 2 characters. But it's like pretty fun and just a kind of like a nice easygoing game to like play with your other two friends, you know, get your fire team together or whatever. And yeah, so I've been enjoying it playing with Alex, and yeah, it's on the Epic Game Store. I think it was free for a little bit. I don't think it is anymore, but I think it's like $20 or something like that. But I think it's worth checking out. So yeah, it's For the King. So Diggins, like, have you played it?
I haven't played it. I just heard of it.
It's fun. It's I mean, if either of you wanted to download it, I think like as of our recording, it might be free on the Epic Game Store. It might not be if, by the time you're listening to this. But
I have the Epic Game Store right here.
Nice.
But you're right. By the time that you're listening to this, it won't matter to you, so you can just move on.
You'll probably play it on like the PlayStation 6 or 7, depending on when this gets released.
Yeah, it's true. That actually might. So yeah, that's my rec.
Cool. Diggins, you got anything fun to recommend to the fine people?
Yeah, I got two quick ones, I think. First is a game that I have been streaming lately. If any of you have happened to catch that. It's called Bug Fables: The Everlasting Sapling.
What is that?
It is also an RPG. It is... So when I first heard of this game, I assumed, oh, this is a game that is trying to rip off Hollow Knight, that other big bug game that everyone loved, including me. Play Hollow Knight. It's amazing. But then when I learned some more about it, and turns out this bug game isn't trying to rip off Hollow Knight. It's trying to rip off Paper Mario. Because it is essentially... So if you ever played the Paper Mario games, the first two, Paper Mario and Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door, are these very interesting RPGs where most attacks involve some kind of mini game where you have to press a button at the right time, or you have to do the right sequence of buttons, or something like that. And also, like, damage values are very low. Most attacks will only do like 1 to 3 damage, and so HP and stuff is much lower scale than most RPGs. It's very interesting. Those games are very good. They also have very like charming paper-based art style and writing. And so this game seeks to emulate all of that, because the later Paper Mario games really get away from the RPG elements. They still have like good art style and cute writing, but they're much more platformers with light RPG elements, all the newer ones. So this one is trying to be more like the gameplay of those first two, where it's a turn-based RPG system where you control... in this one, it's 3 characters. In the Paper Mario games, it was always 2. But they do actually bring some innovations. It's not just they literally recreated the Paper Mario system. So yeah, it's low numbers, 3-person based system where you have you're very customizable bonuses and stuff called, in this game it's called medals. In Paper Mario it was called badges, where you can like add bonuses or new attacks or stuff to all of your characters based on these medals, all of which use a certain amount of points. When you level up, you can level up either your HP, your MP, or TP in this game, in a not well thought through decision, I think.
Yeah.
It's teamwork points, but or your medal points, which affects how many medals you're allowed to wear. And then I think it really nails the battle system, where it is obviously very much inspired by the Paper Mario system, but it also adds a lot of innovations and new stuff of its own that makes it kind of interesting. Like, it doesn't feel like people tried to make Paper Mario again. It feels like they made the third Paper Mario game using this system that Nintendo never made, which is really cool. And it also is, it's very cute, cute little bugs in a paper style, just like Paper Mario. The writing is very light and charming. I think maybe the plot kind of seems like it might get heavier later on. I'm only a couple chapters in right now. It seems like a pretty big game, but I'm enjoying it a lot so far. So if you have any fondness for those old Paper Mario games, I would definitely check it out. It's called Bug Fables. It's only like $20 on Steam, so it's not going to break the bank. It's also available on Switch, if that's your preferred platform for indie games. So yeah, that is my first rec. My second rec is the movie that is basically this 1998 Godzilla, but better in every conceivable way, which is it may have even been wrecked before. It is Shin Godzilla.
Yep. That's I have heard of this. I don't
that
think we've wrecked
is-
it on the show before. So
That is one of the new. I think it is the newest, besides those weird anime ones that Netflix made. It is the newest Japanese Godzilla movie, directed by Hideaki Anno, the director of Neon Genesis Evangelion, as well as another person who I believe made the Gamera movies, the newest Gamera movies.
Roland
His
Emerick.
name is.
that's
Yep,
it, right?
that's it. No, it's Shinji Higuchi. That's his
Okay.
name. But anyway, it is somewhat similar in the sense of it is not a movie about Godzilla fighting other monsters. It is about Godzilla as like a disaster that happens to, well, Tokyo in this version because it's Japanese. But and a lot of the focus is on the inadequacy of the government response. And then the second half is like this small team of government bureaucrats that are like working to actually fix the problem in spite of all the red tape and everything that works against them. It is widely considered to be a response to the Japanese government's handling of the Fukushima disaster, which gives it a lot of, thematic salience that this movie does not have.
Yeah.
And it's also it's a very good movie. Like the creature design, it's a very different look for Godzilla, but it is really interesting and cool. The scenes of destruction of Godzilla destroying Tokyo also are incredible. They are some of the best like monster destroying city scenes I have seen in any of these movies.
Wow.
So it's vaguely the same outline as this movie of Godzilla as a disaster movie, but just a million times better in every single way. So if you think the idea of this movie sounds like it could have worked, you should watch Shin Godzilla and see how it could have worked.
Wow. I might try to check that out very soon.
Yeah, you definitely should. But yeah, those are my recs.
Cool. I was going to say, okay, so 3 quick things. First one, I mentioned this previously, but I think I had just gotten it last time we talked about it. I definitely didn't have the second volume, but I finished the second volume of the Grant Morrison X-Men comics. So it's like, I think it's called All New X-Men or New X-Men or something. It's very good. It's very interesting. Feels very much like a second shot at the not like relaunching the X-Men, because they do that all the time, but like rethinking what mutants would be like in the real world, and just like not just going like, okay, well, where's Nightcrawler in this, and where's Gambit, and where's this one? It's more like, okay, so we're just gonna make a bunch of new weird ones. So this is where like Beak comes from. Glob Herman, who's another one that's Angel Salvatore, the one that switches sides and is bad in X-Men First Class, and then the one from book 2 that was the most interesting is a character named Quentin Quire, who I never quite understood from seeing him previously, and he's just like this like kind of little bratty genius kid who I assume is supposed to be British, but I'm not quite sure about that. Who has like pink hair and lots of powers, and this kind of explains what his deal is, and he's pretty interesting. So I like this book a lot. It's like my comic for the week, although, yeah, nothing else that's really just jumped out at me, although I'm like a week behind on some of my other stuff. As far as like movies and things like that, I watched season 1 and season 2 of a show called Staged. You guys watch this or heard about this?
No.
I don't believe so.
Okay. So I preface this by saying I don't think I'll watch another show like this, or like I think this is filling up one like a spot that I didn't even think existed in my brain of pandemic stuff about the pandemic filmed on webcams, like written comedies about it, because they all seem awful. And I'm sure there will be funny things that come out of the pandemic, but a lot of it just feels like, I don't know, it just isn't funny. And I know like some, like, what was the one? NBC, I think, tried to make like a sitcom of like people talking to each other on webcams. So this is the reason I think this is funny is it was created by, I believe, the BBC. It's Michael Sheen and David Tennant playing themselves in the first season as like actors during the pandemic who kind of don't really know what to do with themselves, and they were about to do a play, and they decide, I think the director kind of figures this out, or maybe David Tennant, I can't remember. They're like, well, we could practice it on Zoom, and then like when everything's over, we'll be ready, and we could be like the first one out of the gate. So it's a series, and the first season I think it's like 6 episodes. I think the second one's 8 of just them trying to do this and cutting each other off and stuff. But it's very funny. The second season, which is way funnier, is the first season. So the second season takes place in a world where the first season was a season of television, and it was not real. It was based on real characters that are Michael Sheen and David Tennant. For people that don't recognize those names immediately, Michael Sheen is the villain in movies with vampires, and he was also Liz Lemon's boyfriend Wesley Snipes in 30 Rock, and other things. He's the Queen, and like he shows up in a lot of British period stuff. And David Tennant, obviously, Doctor Who, Kilgrave, Barty Crouch Jr. So those, so the first season is like this show. Second season is them doing Zoom calls to each other about a American remake of this show, and them being mad that they're not in it, and trying to kind of sabotage it. And that one, season 2 is really funny, and it's like funnier than season 1, I think. But it's like a kind of, I think you need to watch season 1 to get season 2. It works the same way that like Extras or like Entourage worked when it was really working, where it's characters being the worst versions of themselves, or like stuff like that, which is very funny. Where they're like a real person, and it's like, oh, I'm David Tennant, I'm a real brat, but not them as much, but a lot of the guest stars that come on. So the first season of it's on Hulu. The second season you kind of got to look for, although it'll probably pop up on Hulu eventually. And yeah, it's called Staged, and the episodes are like 15 minutes long. So I don't think I'm gonna consume too much pandemic comedy or drama really about the pandemic, filmed during the pandemic, except for this other thing, which I just really like. Not half got into, but I've watched 2 episodes, but I'm willing to say I'm enjoying it enough. There's a show called Norsemen. Have either of you guys seen or heard of this?
No.
Okay. So
is that Vikings?
Yes, but not real. So it's a series from Norway that apparently is shot and filmed twice, once in English and once in Norwegian. So it's like, I guess if you're Norwegian, you watch it and you're like, this is a Norwegian show. But I mean, it's from Norway, and so it's a Vikingsy show, where they like do Viking things and live in a Viking village and whatever, but they all talk like people today and act like people today. So they, for instance, let's see, what's a good example? They have there's like a ritual sacrifice where the old men in the village jump off a cliff, and they're all like, I don't really like want to do it. And then the guy's like, well, I mean, I'm the one that's making you do it. I'm a slave. I can't tell you what to do. You could just go. And they're all like, oh, cool. We won't come here again. And they're like, no, not at all. And then they leave. But like, so it's like Viking-y scenes. I've never watched like that show Vikings, but like things that you would see in that, but with kind of a, workplace feel to them. And it's extra funny because the actors are all real Norwegian people, and it's just funny to hear them say things to each other and in that like kind of American slice of life, or even like Britcom cadence, but Norwegian Viking-y things. So I think it's worth a look. That one's also on Netflix. It's a little more like R-rated in terms of like the violence, but also like just like jokes and stuff. So just be ready for that. But I found it very funny. So I think there's 3 seasons of that. And yeah, that's all I've got right now. One thing that I'm getting that I'm probably going to recommend next week is I'm finally getting the first issue or the first volume of God, what's it called? Immortal Hulk, which I've heard is very good. So I'm excited for that. And yeah, that's
nice.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. What is next week? Next week, do you guys want to do King Kong 1, the one with Jack Black, or do you want to do Godzilla 2014 or something different?
That's hard.
I mean, if we're going in order, I feel like we should go with King Kong with Jack Black.
Yeah.
And also, I think it's better to do bad Godzilla, bad King Kong, rather than bad Godzilla, good Godzilla, bad King Kong.
But you said you wanted to do the Godzilla with Jack Black. So
The King Kong with Jack Black.
Or
I'm saying
King
it makes
Kong with
more
Jack Black.
sense to do the bad King Kong next, rather than going to another Godzilla and then to King Kong.
Right. I guess I'm just confused because the one with Jack Black is good, and you keep saying it's the bad King Kong. So,
I
think
say
we're
the
maybe
bad
thinking
King
about a
Kong
different
because the
movie?
original King Kong is a good King Kong, not because I think Skull Island's that great.
No, yeah, I quite like the Jack Black one. I actually went back after seeing a little bit of this the other day because I just finished it, finished the Godzilla movie we just talked about, and watched some of the scenes from the original King Kong. I dig it. It's pretty fun. Mostly because of Jack Black, though, which is no surprise. What do you think, DJ?
Yeah, I agree. I'm down for bad Godzilla, bad Kong.
Okay,
So yeah,
we can do that.
So I say Jack Black Kong next week.
That works. So we'll do Jack Black King Kong 2005, I think is when that came out. Peter Jackson's
Sweet.
blank check after Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, baby.
Is
I am absolutely positive I was in high school when that movie came out, so it has to be somewhere in the range of 2005 to 2009.
Yeah, I'm pretty
King
sure
Kong,
that's right.
Peter,
'Cause I think I was in
2005,
high
yep.
school then too. And
Nailed it.
yeah, it's
Oh my god, 3 hours and 21 minutes.
It's-
Oh my god.
I think there's two versions. I think there's a shorter version of it.
And we're not going to watch it.
No, yeah, we have to watch the
Yep.
45 or the 4-hour one. But I forget how long that is. It is very long. It feels long because by the end you're like, okay, well it's over, and then they're like, no. You forgot. There's all the New York stuff. And you're like, oh no,
Psych.
there's so much of that. And it's like, yeah, I know. Another hour and change. Get ready.
Yeah, that's why I say I agree that Jack Black is really good in that movie, but
Yeah.
the vast majority of that movie is non-Jack Black material.
No,
So
that's fair. Yeah, I think that's fine. I mean, we got a whole week to watch it. We can watch it, 40 minutes a day, and we'll be done in a week. Jesus
be done
Christ.
just in time to record.
Yeah. Oh my God. But this is what we're doing. So it's Jack Black King Kong. Unless, because I don't think there's too much other stuff coming out. So
Just that Nick Cage.
oh, is that coming out?
Ooh.
When is
hold
that?
on,
Willy's
hold on,
Wonderland?
Willy's.
Oh,
There's
That
Judas and the
comes
Black
out-
Messiah,
Yeah,
a
let's
joke
nip
I
it
already
down.
made.
It comes out tomorrow. As of we're recording this, it comes out Friday the 12th.
the Willy's Wonderland.
Oh,
one.
dang. Well,
yeah. So do we do that
that's-
next week?
that doesn't count as tomorrow, DJ. It may be past midnight, but it's not tomorrow till
whatever.
I've slept.
And it's also
Do we-
when in podcast terms it came out a week ago.
Like a week
But
ago, yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna watch that. I think that would be fun.
Let's do it. Let's do Willy's Wonderland.
Let's do
I'm
that.
up for that too.
It's like a monster movie. We keep talking about how Nick Cage would be good in one of these. Let's just
Yeah.
pretend that he's being attacked by little Godzillas.
Yeah.
Yeah, in like a Godzilla theme park. Do you guys have anything to plug, DJ? What about your Bachelor? How's that going?
It's going. We got old contestants coming back. It's craziness. But we've kicked off most of the bad women, so that's good. Check out Roses and Rejections on the Pop Break feed.
Sounds good. Diggins, what about you? You got anything to plug?
I do indeed, Nando. On my newsletter, I just released my top 10 movies of 2020. Now, you may say, isn't this pretty late to be doing that? And I'd say, I've still beat the Oscar nominations, so it counts.
I've seen plenty of people that have been like, I'm almost done with my 2020 video, but I'm not done yet, so just keep waiting. So I don't think it's even that long, honestly.
But yeah, you can go to alittleperspective.substack.com to see my newsletter, the latest published piece, because I really doubt I'm going to publish another one before this podcast comes out, is my top 10 movies of 2020. Go read that to see what movies I loved of last year. You've heard me talk about probably all of them over the course of this podcast, but not necessarily in as much detail as I go into here.
I think that's right. I want to say there might have been one that I didn't recognize, but wasn't like That's one I've heard him talk about, but I can't remember which one it was. But otherwise, yeah, it's the ones that have been recommended previously. Cool. Yeah, I don't have anything too exciting. I got a new video coming out probably sometime in the next couple days, so probably before this podcast comes out. And then other videos after that. I might do like a second kind of post-episode, I guess, 6 WandaVision recap thing, just because I'm interested. But I don't know what's going to happen in episode 6, so who knows? Maybe it'll all be really boring and it won't be worth talking about. But hopefully not, because that would make the plans complicated. We'll see. But yeah, that's at my Nando V Movies YouTube channel and stuff. Cool. So next week, Willy's Wonderland, which I imagine it's on pay-per-view or like,
Yeah, on demand.
On demand. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So we will talk about that next week. Until then, I am at Nando V Movies on Twitter.
I'm at Zippy by Day.
I'm at This Is an Odd Name.
Wonderful. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.
Woo. Bye. We love you.